Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis, where it's 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley, Dan McLaughlin, Matthew Rocchio, Randy Carricker. Great to have you with us. If you want to watch us, you can do so on our spectacular Air Alliance team studio cam. Just go to YouTube, and once you go to youtube.com, type in 101 ESPN STL, and you can watch the opening drive in addition to listening to it. Morning, kids. How are we doing?
Why'd you do the tie thing? Could it
because
be?
1-1 tie, Cards and Browns last night at the ballpark.
Is this soccer? This isn't soccer.
Well, they allow ties. See, we're going to play again today, and I know Lance Lynn is going to come back. The game ended at 1-1, and so today the Cardinals and Orioles have to pick this baby up. Lance Lynn had gone 6 innings, allowed 1 run on 2 hits, and you know, Danny Mac, that he's going to be back there today at 11:15 in the morning.
Yeah, not a chance. And you were looking up a Bob Gibson stat from 1964, in which he was bouncing back and forth. Yeah, you were 3 at the time. It was 60 years ago, so I don't know if it's really back in the day.
Okay, back in the day, not
The
my
day, okay. If you were watching Bob Gibson at 3 and marking down his stats, then... Well, realistically, I wouldn't be shocked if that was you, Randy.
It might have been.
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
So September 24th, 1964, the Cards in a pennant race, okay? On September 24th, Gibby throws a complete game, 9 innings. He allows 2 runs on 2 hits, and the Cardinals win. 3 days later, 3 days rest, September 28th, against the Phillies, he starts and goes 9. And then he gets 3 days rest again, September 29th and 30th off on October 1st as well. 3 days rest on October 2nd. He starts and goes 8 against the Mets and allows 1 run. And that was one of those, he lost 1-0. And then he takes off October 3rd because he needed to. Comes back on October 4th, 1 day's rest, and throws 4 innings of relief as the Cardinals win and clinch a playoff spot.
Could you imagine if someone did that today?
No.
First of all, it would never, ever happen. But if you had somebody do it today, baseball would be turned upside down. The sporting world would be turned upside down if somebody
People
did that.
Lose their minds. They really don't make them like that anymore.
Okay.
Truly.
Now, here is a true back in my day. Wilbur Wood was a pitcher for the White Sox. He was a knuckleballer for the White Sox. And in the 70s, he started back-to-back ends of a doubleheader.
Yeah, I
That feels like
it.
that would be illegal now.
Probably an agent wouldn't like it that much.
No, it'd be banned.
But the Cardinals and Orioles were going at it last night. It was yes, Matthew. What do you got for us? Oh, okay.
I wasn't trying to clear my throat because of this. I was just yesterday was the anniversary of Warren Spahn, and I'm blanking on the other pitcher. They both pitched.
Harvey Haddix?
Yeah, the full 16-inning complete game, and where they both pitched every single one. Like that's you see that, and you're like, how did that exist? How is this the same sport? How are these the same humans?
It's not the same sport.
Do you think that we've just gone so far the other way with nutrition, all the different training programs, everything like that, where back in the day, what were they doing nutrition-wise?
I think it comes down to money and agents and
It totally does.
looking at analytics. These guys are built differently. I mean, that's something to consider too. Are they wound too tight? I don't know. We're not doctors though. We don't know that.
Yeah, but those guys were having a hot dog and a beer. They weren't going to pull the muscles.
I also think though they were pitching through what would be perceived as maybe Tommy John or shoulder issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
It used to be that pitchers just went by the wayside and we never heard from them again.
Happen all the time.
Yeah, but now you have Tommy John surgery and Dakota Hudson can come back and pitch for Colorado.
Also, one factor in that Warren Spahn game I just mentioned, he had 2 strikeouts.
2. He sucked.
So I wonder what the pitch count was on him. I don't know what that would be, but
they didn't count it.
he was trying to. I guarantee he was trying to get early outs and counts. Throw strikes, throw sinker balls, get ground balls, which is now the game predicated on swing and miss.
Right, right.
I came bearing gifts, by the way.
Oh, Danny Mac. Oh,
What is
Danny
this?
Mac.
So our friend Wes Edwards said,
Wes.
I have to give you something. I said, okay. And he ran into I guess, I don't know where he got it. Walked into a store and saw it. And he said, I need to make sure and give this to you. Unfortunately, for me, man, and I'm tore up about it, it's a lady shirt.
Oh, this is perfect.
So it says, yo-ho. That's my one yo-ho.
For the day. That came early, 7:05.
It's Yo-Ho National Park in Canada.
Oh,
So,
thank
Brooke,
you
there
so
you go.
much.
How great is that?
I'm so excited right now.
They named a park after our show.
Yeah, we really do influence people, don't we?
We're big influencers.
We're
yes.
Wait, we could call ourselves influencers
We
now.
can.
We can.
I
Thank
can't
you
believe
so
someone
much.
didn't text into you guys and say, did this originate from a Canadian national park?
you would think that, well, I don't know.
We get a lot of texts about what it originates from.
Should we explain it because we haven't done it in a while?
Well, hold on. Yoho National Park is
times.
on the western slopes of the Great Divide. Glaciers and waterfalls cling to the towering peaks of Yoho National Park. Discover the secrets of ancient marine life in a land shaped by water and human ingenuity.
Oh, beautiful.
Did you guys notice how Danny made a 3% inflection on his voice and went straight into PA narrator? That was, I mean, give me like a March of the Penguins feed to get you to narrate for. Come on.
To prevent the spread of whirling disease, all water bodies in Yoho National Park are closed to watercraft and angling.
Yeah. Did you hold that up for the camera?
Yes. Let me show this on the YouTube.
There it is. Yoho National Park. Thanks to our buddy Wes
I
Edwards.
love it. Thank you so much. I will cherish this.
Here's what Yoho is a product of. When we first got our new text line, old text line was 65780. I still remember that one. Still say it occasionally, even though it's a year and a half later. But Yoho, if you look on your phone, you have letters next to your numbers. And 9 has a Y, 6 has an O, 964 has an H, and 6 has an O. That really was the only, unless we did like Zoho or something like that, which we could have done, or Woho, but you really couldn't make many good words out of 9646. So Yoho became the one.
Yes.
And that was.
And how long has this been in play?
About a year and a half. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Cardinals and Orioles will resume play today.
So that's your gift of the day, Brooke.
Thank you, Daniel.
No
yes,
problem.
thank you so much. I'm very excited about this.
For sure.
Plenty of good tickets available. And then we have the second game. And we're
Kyle Gibson will start in that one.
big game Gibby Jim. Looking forward to that.
Friend of the show.
He is. He's our guy. And that one originally was scheduled for a 12:15 start. Obviously will not start at that time today because they're going to play 3 innings in an hour.
It'd be interesting if you were in a blowout, how you use your bullpen. You got to put a guy out there as your sacrificial lamb, but you're in a tie game, in a game that you're wanting to win, obviously, but you're 6.5 games out, could be 7, looking at 8 if you would lose the back end of that, potentially. So, first game of a doubleheader, filling in the final 3 innings. This is an important game for the Cardinals to try to capture.
And this is where the depth of the bullpen becomes a big factor.
Yes.
And I would think at some point today we'll see. Do you know the pronunciation of the WashU pitcher? Is it Lautis?
I think it is Lautis.
Okay. I would think that at some point during
or
the day.
Ludus.
That's what Brooks said, Ludus.
Okay.
Loutos.
Channel 5 had it in their story,
Ludus.
so
Yeah,
I
Ludus.
believe Frank Cusimano.
Okay.
Yeah. Kusi.
I'm going Ludus then.
Kusi did a lot of arenados over the years.
Oh, okay. Well, it happens.
Yeah.
People still do that to this day.
Yeah, a lot of people did.
But rosters will stay the same because I think a lot of people wonder if you have that game go out today, there will no 27th man, basically, and they have not made a decision yet on who that number 5 starter will be. So you really have to be tactful with how you use your bullpen.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's just the second time, by the way, Lance Lynn has gone 6 this season. Third time he finished without allowing an earned run. So Lance Lynn pitched very well and put the Cardinals in position to win today. 11-15, and then presumably 12-15, but probably more like 1-15 for
I think they're
the
saying
second game.
If you have a ticket for, and I could be wrong, so don't take this to heart, but I think if you have a ticket to today's game, meaning the original game, you can come early and watch the completion of game 1 of the doubleheader. If you had a ticket to last night, I don't think you get back into the ballpark, but they'll give you a voucher for a future game.
You're correct. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what they put out there on
Okay,
social
good deal.
media last night.
Usually
Also,
that's what they do.
Yeah, Lars Nootbaar ejected from the game last night.
What's Lars thinking here? Come on, Newt. We're paying money to see you, to watch you play, not get tossed out in the first inning. Although I kind of like it, but
He lost his mind there.
He did.
I think it's great.
It was
don't
very
blame him.
uncharacteristic of him.
Yeah, he is. That is. He's an easygoing SoCal guy.
I thought the strike zone was jumping all over the place last night.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those things where, you know, umpires can have bad nights. They can be inconsistent. I thought it was inconsistent basically from the get-go. Nootbaar obviously was fired up and didn't like it. And a lot of times what happens is that players will put their head down and say the next time that they're up, and they'll dig at the dirt and, you know, kind of play around in the dirt in the box and then put their head down and not show up the umpire and say, you missed it. I'm just telling you, you missed 2 of the 3 on the last at bat. We went back in, looked at the video, and the umpire will say, "Okay, got it. You know, I got you." You know, not that I'm going to change my strike zone here for you in this second at bat to make up for the first one, but they'll say, hey, appreciate it, got it, let's move forward.
And this is a compliment. I don't know who Mark Estabrook is. He was the home plate umpire last night. I know who C.B. Buckner is. I know who Angel Hernandez is. I know who Les Diaz is. I don't know who Mark Estabrook is. When I don't know who an umpire is, that's a compliment to him because that means he's just doing his job and I'm not talking about him.
That's how it should be. I guess in that situation, what you're saying, too, is looking at Goldie's face when it happened, he was just like, oh, no, here we go. You could tell that there was a lot of frustration, not just from Lars, but I'm assuming the other players as well. And it just really blew up in that moment, that situation.
And I think the umpire just had a bad night. NBA playoffs last night, the Celtics rallied. Jaylen Brown hitting a late three-pointer to force overtime. What a game. Celtics over the Pacers in overtime, 133 to 128. The way this is written for me by Matthew is Celtics force overtime, and then the Pacers outmistake them across OT to fumble game one to Boston. Jayson Tatum. Do we still have that Jayson Tatum? Yes, Matthew.
I feel like that's the most accurate way to describe the overtime last night.
Yeah.
Like, no one won that.
Yeah. Can you do a search for our Jayson Tatum? We have a Jayson Tatum open.
Yeah.
So let's see if we have a Jayson, because we love the St. Listen, we're going to bring him up. He's going to be part of the show. He's not going to be a guest, but we'll have Jayson Tatum as a subject. Here we go.
Players in the NBA.
Tatum drives down and throws it down. Wow!
And he reps his city.
Who do you got in the Super Bowl tonight?
The St. Louis Rams. Oh, he can't let it go. The St. Louis Rams.
It's time for the Jayson Tatum Minute on Carricker and Smallman.
Yeah, it's not really Carrick and Smallman anymore. It's the opening drive. But Tatum with 36 points, 12 of 26 from the floor, 2 of 8 from 3, 10 of 12 free throws, a couple of huge ones late, a dozen rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals. He filled the score sheet, as the kids say, and he was the key to the Celtics winning.
He was the key, and Jaylen Brown, as you mentioned, with that very important clutch three. That, to me, was the biggest story because if they didn't pull that off, if Brown didn't hit that three last night, the story would have been basically they handed this over to the Pacers. Now, I thought, honestly, the Pacers were somewhat the better team throughout the entire game, and then they were not able to close it out in regulation. So I see what Matthew's saying about in overtime, what happened there in that situation. But really, I felt like the Pacers kind of handed this one over to them.
Right. Boston had a 12-0 lead, and then the Pacers dominated for the last 3+ quarters.
Pacers gave it up.
Yeah, they did.
We should be waking up this morning and saying they won that game. And they go into Game 7 against the Knicks at MSG. They go to the Garden, and they should have won that game. Maybe we start giving them a little bit more credit than what the narrative is nationally with them. Yeah, they gave that game away. They should have won.
Yeah, and the game one of the Western Conference Finals tonight, it'll be Matthews, Stan Kroenke-led Denver Nuggets are getting ready to play in the Western Conference Finals again. They're just so good.
Sorry, just my nostalgia took me away on that one. I misspelt Mavericks on that one. I spelled Mavericks with an N. It's the Mavericks.
Mavericks versus the Timberwolves. And they're playing the Nuggets.
Yes.
The Nuggets beat Minnesota the other night.
No, they're playing the Timberwolves.
Game 7 at home, Denver. Obviously, if the Game 7
you have the altitude.
Denver,
you have the altitude.
No, that didn't happen.
No?
Carl Anthony Towns happened, and so did Ant-Man. So,
are you telling me that Stan Kroenke doesn't have any teams left in the winter sport playoffs?
No, and it's fantastic, Randy.
And then in the
He's so
NHL playoffs, we've got game 1 between the Panthers and Rangers tonight here on 101 ESPN, and the pregame starts at 6:30. So we're looking forward to that, and we'll have a lot of hockey for you here on 101 ESPN. It is Hump Day. It is Wednesday. It is beautiful. So when you guys walk out to your yard and go to the biggest tree, does it sound like an airport with the cicadas?
It's so scary outside.
It's unbelievable.
Yes.
I like it.
You like it?
I don't mind.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of like it.
It's loud.
What do you like about it, Dan?
Makes me think summer.
It is summer.
Very loud summer.
Yeah.
Well, summer not officially kicking off until Memorial Day weekend for me.
Yeah.
And then we got it this weekend. Then at that point, I'm going to say it's too freaking hot, and let's get over this, and let's get to the fall.
I can start wearing my white shoes and white pants starting next week, which is good.
Finally. You've been waiting to break those bad boys out.
But so with the 2 labs, we have a golden and 2 labs, and I get up this morning at like 4:45, and man, they were up right next to me because they wanted to go outside and I think eat cicadas, which is fine.
My dog was going nuts this morning over that. We have a cicada that is in our fireplace.
Oh.
So I don't know how it got in in there, just fell on through. And our dogs are going absolutely bananas over this thing, waking us all up at like 4 in the morning.
Yeah. It's good protein, I guess.
I guess so.
But here's a fun fact for you, cicadas. Do not eat them if you have a shellfish allergy.
I don't like that. I wish I didn't know that information, Randy.
Yeah,
There's something about that.
Because you have a shellfish allergy, or
No, because I know where you're going with this, and it's just
people. They're a delicacy some places.
I know. Believe me, I know. I told you the story about how my neighbors back home, like at my childhood home, how they would scoop them up and they would have celebrations and cook them in their backyard.
Delicious.
Because it was part of their culture. But when you're saying shellfish allergy, are you saying that basically that there's bugs in the sea and that we also eat those as well?
Yes, that's basically what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to think about
Do you
that.
think shrimp are?
I know, I don't. But when you actually think about it, I tried to like forget about that. That's a real fact out there.
Lobster used to be a trash food.
Yeah.
I think I'm the only guy that likes the cicada influx here.
I think you are, Dan.
I no
you
doubt
might
about
be
it.
the only one.
And I don't blame people for not liking it.
I don't mind the sound. It's just getting up and seeing them all over my patio and my grill cover and
They're
everything.
gross.
That's a little gross.
Yeah.
They can't
All right.
even fly well. I feel like we're dissing them now. They can't even fly well. They just kind of like bounce
Circles and
around and
bounce
then they
around.
just hit you and ugh.
Right. Yeah.
Land on you.
Yeah. This morning, so I just kind of flicked one. It was on the screen, my screen door, and I flicked it on the, so it flew off. You're exactly right. It just landed on its back, and it just.
And they're done. How do they reproduce and how do they survive? That's my question, because there's so many of them just laying on the ground. How do they move on? How does this continue to happen?
Crazy. Ask Uncle Randy is coming your way next. 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! Get your texts in now. Memorial Day weekend. Does your family have issues and you need to deal with them for Memorial Day weekend? We're going to talk about what you need to do with your barbecue next on 101 ESPN. Hey, I want you to know about some of the cool things going on in our area, and that includes the Adaptive Sports Complex at the South County YMCA. It is sensational, and it is such a huge difference maker for people and children and adults with disabilities. They're actually going to have an opportunity now at the Adaptive Sports Complex to provide those that haven't had a chance to play baseball and other sports an opportunity to play baseball and other sports. And they're very excited to have Paul Goldschmidt involved. Cardinals Care is involved, and Paul Goldschmidt has taken the lead, and the field is going to be called Paul Goldschmidt Field. It's so cool that he's involved, and so cool that these youngsters and adults are going to have a great opportunity to participate in sports. And you can get involved, too. If you'd like to get involved personally with signage, or if you'd like to sponsor on a corporate level, all you need to do is go to GWR, that's Gateway Region, GWR YMCA, and learn how you can be a part of the incredible Paul Goldschmidt Field, the Adaptive Sports Complex, for people that ordinarily wouldn't be able to play sports that are being given that opportunity to by the Gateway Region YMCA.
Text 314-399-9646. It's Ask Uncle Randy on 101 ESPN.
I've been around, you know.
It is time for Ask Uncle Randy. Brooke is here, Dan is here, Uncle Randy is here, Matthew is here, and we want your questions. Summer is here. Not only are Brooke, Dan, Matthew, and Randy here, but summer is here, almost officially, just a couple of days away. And so a lot of questions about summer. Summer is a different time of year, and we get great questions. So kids, if you have a question and you really don't want to ask mom and dad, just come and ask Uncle Randy. And Uncle Randy will always help you out with an honest, forthright, experienced answer. Uncle Randy is kind of a sage advisor. And not only that, but he's cool. So ask Uncle Randy. Matthew, what do you got?
Just because you advise people to burn sage doesn't make you a sage advisor.
Oh, no, that's, I know what you're saying. But it's, by the way, the H-Man, Howard Balzer, in town, National Football Foundation luncheon today over at Lombardo's at the airport.
Are you doing it?
H and I are going to do it, yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
So the first time he's been back in town since he left to cover the Arizona Cardinals a few years ago.
Really?
I didn't realize it was the
No
first time
kidding.
back. Wow.
Yeah.
Randy, the in-laws invited us over for the first annual Memorial Day weekend pool party and barbecue. However, we always have our annual boys golf getaway, which is in year 13. You can imagine the pickle I'm in, so I'm in desperate need of your help to explain to the wife how I'm going to have to miss this pool party.
Oh, you got to miss it.
Yeah.
Uncle Randy, you got to miss it.
Yeah, I agree.
The pool party.
No.
Oh, no.
Here's the thing.
Oh, this isn't my segment. This is Uncle Randy, so I'll step away.
Here's the thing. Is this the first Memorial Day for the family together? And here it is.
He's calling it the first annual, like they're doing the get together.
Okay,
but
well,
I feel like maybe the family's probably been a family for longer.
If it's the first holiday, first Memorial Day you're having with the family and her parents, even though it's the first annual, I think you have to defer to her. Now, if it's not, if you've been married for 2 years or more, then the time takes precedence in the 13 years of doing the golf outing with the boys. And it's kind of late to make this decision. But unless it's your first Memorial Day with her and her family, you're golden taking the golf trip.
He extrapolates, says, yes, it's the first year they're having the party, which
Okay,
tells me
but
that
not
they've
the first year
that they've been together for longer.
Don't worry about that.
Thank you.
Now, you do the golf trip. You've got 4th of July. You've got Labor Day. You've got plenty of opportunities to have barbecues during the course of the summer. And you know what? Sure. They really shouldn't open up the pool until Monday anyway, till Memorial Day. So, no,
He should say that. You'd be like, the pools are not supposed to be open just yet, first off.
But bottom line, Danny, you're right. Tradition with the boys will trump almost, not everything, but almost everything. And in this case, that tradition does.
Well, I know my wife is not listening, so I'll just come out and say, you better set the tone. Okay, you better set the tone right now. And you go on that boys' golf trip and you make sure you have a nice time with your friends. Maybe it's a high school reunion of guys going out and you set the tone. And I pray that my wife is not listening right now.
Here's the other part of it that I think we need to put out there. And I know, Dan, you hate when I'm maudlin. I know you do. But you never know when you're going to have the group of guys not together.
There we go.
Every opportunity.
Wait a minute, I hate what?
When I talk about death.
Oh, I got you now.
And if somebody goes...
I don't hate it. I just... You have a weird obsession with it.
I do. But here's the thing. You never know. And you get to see those in-laws all the time, every holiday, right? You don't get to go on the annual Memorial Day golf trip during the 4th of July, during Labor Day. There's plenty of time for those barbecues with the family. You never know when your group of guys is not going to be a group of guys anymore, because you never know when one of the guys is actually going to go to the pool party and mess everything up. You don't want to be that guy that messes everything up.
Yeah.
Good call.
I will just say, as the female in the room, I feel like I should speak on this a little bit. Dan, I know that you
wants to be a golfer.
Okay, who does want
Nice
to be
call, Randall.
a golfer? I see how you're really trying to set me up for this one right here. Maybe some other advice here, because Dan, you were a little bit worried. You think that your wife is not listening, so you even know you have to be cautious about this.
For sure.
Be very tactful about this. So maybe you should have already explained, or do explain, hey, this has already been planned. This has been set. This is something we do annually. But hey, I know I can't make it to this. Let's go ahead and plan something for the next family get together. As you mentioned, 4th of July is coming up. So there's an opportunity to really save this. Maybe even send something nice of, even though you can't be there, send a little extra something with the wife of like, this is from the husband, even though he couldn't be there, wishes he could. Let's go ahead and set something up. So you have to be very tactful about this. Or you could be like how my dad was. And I know he's listening this morning because he already texted in about the cicadas, but he was really good at the Irish exit when it came to family gatherings. Crucial. And so he would show up for a little bit and he'd be like, oh, I have something with work. And then he would go home and I'd see him watching just games on TV. He was very good about that. So if you show up a little bit and then just really work your way out.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You can be tactful about this.
And you know what? We can really do that. I got something for work, and then we go watch a game, and it's something for work.
Exactly. Yeah.
This guy's also missing the ace in the hole. I mean, come on, honey, you let your parents schedule this. I've been doing this for 13 years. Are you not aware of me and my friend? I mean, this has been a 13-year thing, honey. Are you not aware of what me and my friends like hold dear to us? I feel like you should pay attention to what I do in my life a little bit more. Bam, hit her with the guilt trip.
And then the three magic words: I can't swim.
Yes! Thinking outside the box, Randy. Dear Uncle Randy, for our Sunday afternoon meal, we were at a standstill between burgers and pork steaks. Since I'm grilling, I get the final say. But Uncle Randy and the family, please cast the final vote for me.
You do both.
Yeah.
You do both. I'm
It's
doing
not that hard to
multiple
figure out.
proteins. No, this is the easiest thing in the world. You should do both. You should eat both. Not only do both on the grill, but eat both. This is not a conundrum at all. This is not anything close to a kerfuffle. This is obvious. You, especially for a holiday, you combine it. You go for it.
Do you guys already know what you're doing for Memorial Day? I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know. I shouldn't say I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not sure what I'm going to be told what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No annual golf trip
No.
to get you out of something.
On Saturday, and the cicadas are going to hate this. I'm going to power wash the stuff in my grill so that all the grates and everything, so that I know the grills are clean. And that's a Memorial Day tradition, unlike any other for me. And then I know that on Sunday or Monday, I'm going to be utilizing said grills.
Will you barbecue all weekend long or just Memorial Day?
Probably just Sunday and Monday. I probably won't do Saturday.
Okay.
I don't have anything planned just yet, other than probably going to the pool over at the Missouri Athletic Club. It is open on Saturday, and so
That is
I'm
a
going to take
zoo
advantage
over there.
of that.
It's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm excited to go over there.
In a good way, I mean. Okay. In a good way at the Missouri Athletic
I'm
Club.
going to get there bright and
I
early.
am playing golf. Katie and I are going to go play golf somewhere. I just don't know where yet.
cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll probably play pickleball, some pickleball.
There you go. Oh, yesterday, Brooke showed her competitive side. We'll talk about that later. But
Yeah.
I feel sorry for the Post-Dispatch guys.
Dear Uncle Randy, my brother-in-law has a barbecue every Memorial Day weekend, and he's terrible at barbecuing. How is there a way that I can give him some tips or some pointers without insulting him? And don't worry about the insulting part.
Here's the thing. If it is terrible, everybody agrees. So there's a couple of things that you can do. Number one, I'd like to know why it's terrible. Normally the problem that people have with grilling or barbecuing is they don't get the meat to the proper temperature. And I've said this before. Head on over to Ace Hardware or just hop on Amazon now or go to Home Depot, Lowe's. Get yourself a Weber iGrill, and it will provide him and you the perfect temperature for the meat every time you put it on the grill. But I would say, you know what? Here's what I do, and then actually force him to do it. Okay, this is what I like. This is, and especially if she's your brother-in-law, so like your wife, she really likes when I do this. So I would suggest that you kind of force lessons upon him.
How did you learn? Trial and error?
Trial and error, yeah. Yeah, that's what you got to do.
My kids will not eat any of my barbecue.
Really?
They think it's horrible. And in fairness, it is pretty bad.
Well,
yeah. Every once in a while, I turn out a gem. Okay. Every once in a while, just not consistently.
So I have probably half a dozen. No, I have way more than that. But I have 3 Weber grilling cookbooks that I love. And obviously, the Traeger was a game changer for me. And they provide a recipe every day. But then I think the best thing that I did was get that Weber iGrill.
It just makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
How do you do the carrot cake on what you do it on?
Okay, that's on the Traeger, and that's a Traeger recipe. They have it on their website.
Because when I think Traeger, I think barbecue, and you told me...
Well, you can use it as a smoker, too.
That's what I mean. I always thought of it as a smoker, and you came to me with this carrot cake, you said I did on the Traeger, and I was like... What, you smoked the carrot cake? How did you do this? I'm not educated on it.
And you do it with pecan.
Yeah.
Pecans. Pecan.
Pellets?
Yeah, pellets. And
so good.
It is.
Thank you. It's
Is that
so good,
on the
man.
menu this weekend, Randy? That's the big question.
It probably will be. Yeah, I should take care of you guys with one.
I'm
I owe
telling
you.
the listening audience, I've said this many times, I don't care what 5-star you go to and order a carrot cake, it will not match up to Randy's. That's how good it is.
Good.
I'm serious.
Thank you, Daniel.
It's
That's very nice of you.
unbelievable.
That's very nice of you. Matthew, let's do one more just for fun. Oh, he can't even find one.
We got to go to break.
Oh, we got to go to
Do
break.
we, though?
Yeah.
Do we really?
No.
We are. Because we're going to talk, because it is Memorial Day weekend with all of the football going on. We've got to talk NFL and college football storylines here on 101 ESPN.
Hey, Danny Mac for Stewart's American Mortgage. Stewie is with us. And Stewie, we're talking about down payments and some of the aspects of what you get into if you're a buyer.
You know what, Danny? There's a big challenge out there. Bidding wars on houses, people going over asking price, and people just don't have the extra cash. We have a solution for you. First solution is the bagel loan. Don't pay any closing costs. Add that money to the bid. You can go ahead without any additional costs and beat the other offers. We got one better for you. 0 down on a conventional loan. You heard me. No down payment on a conventional loan. If you intended to put that down 3%, 5%, take that money, add it to the money that you're saving on the bagel loan, add it to the bid, beat out all the other offers, and it won't cost you a dime more.
You know it. I love the bagel loan. And if you're someone who is looking to purchase a home or refinance, or you're looking to consolidate some of that ugly credit card debt, maybe you don't know exactly what direction to go to in any of these things, let me make it easy for you. Call Stewie, great guy from Stewart's American Mortgage. Again, the bagel loan, you borrow $200,000 or more, no underwriting fees, no appraisal fees, no title fees, no lender fees, and no closing costs. And this is the best part about Stewie. You can call him directly on his personal cell phone. Here is the number, 314-324-4440, 314-324-4440, or as he said, you can Google the bagel loan. That a boy, Stewie. Nice work.
NMLS number 226715.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals and Orioles suspended the game. They are tied 1-1. At the leadoff batter is up for the Cardinals in the bottom of the sixth. They will restart that game today at 11:15, and then they'll play another one. Kyle Gibson will be your starter in the Cardinals' second game. Still waiting to be seen who comes out for the Cardinals to start the seventh when they restart that game. Last night in the NBA playoffs, game one of the Eastern Conference Finals, and it was a doozy. Celtics over the Pacers, 133-128 in overtime. In that game, the Celtics go 24 of 30 from the charity stripe. The Pacers go 9 of 10. And the NHL Playoffs tonight on 101 ESPN. It's the Panthers and Rangers for game one. Pre-game starts at 6:30. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Blues chairman Tom Stillman will join us here in studio coming up at the top of the 9 o'clock hour from 9 to 9:30. Tom Stillman will be here, and we're going to talk a lot about the upcoming Blues activity and the future of the Blues, and of course what they did in 23-24 as well. Time for some NFL and college football news and notes. And Dolphin safety Javon Holland really likes his new defensive coordinator, Anthony Weaver. And Weaver worked for John Harbaugh, and he worked for Mike McDonald in Baltimore. So you would anticipate, because they collect good people in Baltimore, you would think that he would be a good person. And when asked about the difference between Weaver and Vic Fangio, last year's defensive coordinator who's now in Philadelphia, safety Javon Holland said it's a complete 180. He raved about how Weaver relates to players and asked what the difference is with Weaver. Holland said it's the fact that he's a good person that makes a difference.
Wow. I don't think I've ever heard anything like that before.
No.
A good person. So not only talking about coaching-wise relating to the players, but saying overall just not a great person in general there. That is some pretty strong words.
A little scorched earth going out of his way to make sure he makes a point. I think the next one is my favorite one on the NFL college football storyline. Now, we have a couple of good ones.
Yes.
But I put this one at the top of my list with Aaron Rodgers having to make a hard decision this offseason. Come back and play or be a vice presidential candidate. I just thought this is kind of interesting.
It's America in 2024.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell, well, with Aaron Rodgers, I was going to say he's sometimes hard to read if he's being serious or if he's being sarcastic. He kind of smiled a little bit after he said that, so I don't know if he was kind of joking about that, but it looked like it was pretty serious about him maybe looking into being a vice president candidate.
He had to be joking, right?
He had to have been. If you watch the video of when he's talking about it, he kind of has a little smirk after. A little smirk after he says it. But then again, he is very public about his opinions on just about everything. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be completely surprised.
Do we get up? Should we be upset for an athlete for coming out and being as open about what he feels in today's social aspects? Because it goes back to, do you want players to be open and honest, or do you want them just to play their sport and talk about their sport?
I hate the idea of
whether you like what he's saying or not.
Right. I hate the idea of people thinking shut up and dribble. They have a platform. They're allowed an opinion. I mean, look at all the bozos. Well, hell, look at the politicians. They have no more good ideas or opinions than Aaron Rodgers or LeBron James do. So I have no problem with athletes utilizing their platform to voice their opinions.
Yeah.
Everybody's entitled to an opinion.
Well, and that's why we're here in the U.S., right? It's because you have free speech. You should be able to speak on what you want. I think the only time that you have to be somewhat careful, or not even somewhat, you do have to be careful about if you are causing harm to others or something, or spreading information that could cause harm to others. That would be the only critique that I would have in certain situations. Now, the thing is that,
Brooke, I think that's kind of unfair, because sometimes we just don't know. Like, if you ingest bleach, that's not necessarily going to harm you.
I think that would harm you.
So now you're getting political on the show here, Randy. Yes, you are.
Do you really think it's a political thing, Dan, to say that ingesting bleach is bad for you?
I thought that Jadan Rashada suing Florida over NIL was interesting, too. I'm moving on.
Well, that's fine. Jadan Rashada was going to get $13.5 million from Florida from one of their boosters from their head coach, Billy Napier, and another person in the athletic department.
Can you repeat how much money again?
$13.5 million. Yeah.
Whoa.
And it all fell apart, and he's suing them because he's saying now that the booster never intended to pay him Rashada that money, who, by the way, now is at Georgia. He's bounced around. He went from Florida to Miami and now Georgia, and still hasn't played it down.
Do you guys think that Billy Napier, though, was kind of put in a bad situation? He shouldn't been in the middle of when you had the booster. I mean, I think sometimes to the bigger picture, maybe not in this situation, but coaches are put in the middle of this thing where they necessarily shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I think by rule they shouldn't be, because then
they're not allowed to.
Pay to play.
That's my point.
Right. And so we all know they're involved, right? But it should never be a public thing that they're involved. And the other part of it is there's supposed to be no contact between players and boosters for on-campus visits. Mm-hmm. And this is something that has caught the attention of the NCAA, too, because Rashada said, well, yeah, the guy was on campus. That's when he offered me the money. And this is a guy that owns a car dealership down in Florida. And so I think it's great that Rashada's suing. And by the way, an SEC quarterback suing another SEC coach. Pretty funny.
Oh, yeah. It just kind of sums up the situation, doesn't it? But I just felt like some of these head coaches, I started thinking about it. It's brought light to me that maybe they're the ones that get thrown under the bus with this stuff, and they shouldn't be. I kind of think that with Billy Napier right now.
And, isn't that why coaches are quitting? It's like, well,
yeah, I don't want to deal with this.
Right. It's why people like Krzyzewski and Nick Saban retired, because they don't want to deal with it.
Yeah. I think the thing is that we knew that stuff like this was going to come out even more with players. And that was my big concern is, I'm not sure the full scope of the story, but at the same time, you knew that there's people who are going to come in and maybe try to take advantage of certain situations. It's people who are very opportunistic with these young players who are 18, 19, 20 years old. Either way, they still are considered adults legally, of course, but 18, 19 years old, signing a contract where you're making a lot of money, when we're talking millions, are you going to make the right decision or know fully what you're getting into?
I think you're just looking for the most money.
Yeah.
And whoever's going to pay me the most money, that's where I'm going to go. And I would imagine if Nick Saban was being honest with everybody, he would say, I'm done with this system because it's a pain in the ass. And I don't want to deal with it.
And the coaches, like you were saying, Rainey, they can't get that involved in the whole process.
Right, at least publicly.
Yes.
Now, I also think that there are the players, because they all have agents, they're savvy enough to play the long game, too. There are kids from St. Louis. There's an offensive lineman from St. Louis that didn't go to Mizzou, but his dad called Mizzou and said, hey, if you'll give my son starters money, he'll transfer to Mizzou. And Mizzou said, well, we can't give him starters money because he wouldn't be a starter here. But it happens. And I would guess that if a guy... and I don't know what's going to happen with Ryan Wingo from SLU when he goes to Texas, how much playing time he's going to get. But we do know that players like playing time, or they like the ability to go to a place where they can be a pick. So next year, if, let's just assume that Luther Burden is top 10 pick in the draft, and Mizzou's looking for a receiver, and Wingo hadn't had a ton of time catching passes down at Texas, does he come in here to be the number one, because it sets him up not only for the short term with the Mizzou money, but for the long term to be a top 10 pick in the draft?
This is why you need to have a players association in college football. We need to get to that point, and it feels like, especially with situations like this, you need that, where there's more representatives for the players that are working for them, because I don't think NIL is going to go anywhere. We're going to see more situations like this arise until there's something to really represent these players in a better manner.
I love the players get paid. I think it's great. Oh, yeah,
it's necessary.
It's totally necessary, and it's finally coming to light, and the NCAA is on the hook for a lot of this stuff, which is coming now with what's going on with the ACC and the Big 12, and they have to settle the House case that's going on. I think it's great. Get the players paid, get the most that they can. They're generating billions of dollars for these guys and gals and these institutions. Make sure they get a piece of the pie.
I think the thing I'm just more worried about is that you're just seeing a lot of NIL and marketing agents that have popped up, and they're trying to entice these players to enter the transfer portal. That's the stuff that is really worrying me with this whole situation.
But don't you want them to get the most money?
Oh, I do want them to get paid, but I'm just thinking about everything, the ramifications of a lot of this, and that you have a lot of people who don't exactly maybe have the best player, the interest of the player at heart, and they're trying to entice them into a situation.
I was thinking, why should any coach be caught for cheating now?
Yeah, it shouldn't happen.
It should not happen.
It makes it silly that the NCAA still tries to do that.
Yes.
And by the way, along those lines, there shouldn't be cheating. Why are we calling it college football?
So just call it semi-pro.
Yeah, right.
Just call it semi-pro football that you have a
Semi-pro.
chance to get a scholarship.
Yeah.
And get an education.
It's amazing. And these kids, not that they don't learn and they don't have tutors, but they literally never go to class. Never go to class. Coming up next here on 101 ESPN, we've got Take It or Leave It. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service. Text line 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! Teal.
He did his one.
Are you going to do it?
Thank you, Brooke.
7:05 this morning.
Thank you, Brooke.
Okay.
I handed out a shirt that had it.
You did. Pretty
I mean, if
impressive.
that's not
that's
buying in, I don't know what is.
That's total buy-in, Daniel.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take it or leave it next time, 101 ESPN. It is going to be a glorious day in St. Louis. Great day to be out on the patio at Fenton Bar and Grill down in Fenton. Just head on over to Rudder Road. Go to the soccer park, and you're literally 2 minutes away from the Fenton Bar and Grill. Just follow Rudder Road to the Fenton Bar and Grill. You're going to have a great crew there today. Alicia will be there, Megan, Kelly, and the gang, and they'll serve you great food with a smile. And you're going to have a great time because when you go to the Fenton Bar and Grill, people are kindred spirits to you. They love sports. They want to be talking Cardinals. They want to be talking Blues and about the Tom Stillman interview today. You're going to have a great time there, and you're going to try the best trashed wings that you've ever had. If you haven't tried them yet at the Fenton Bar and Grill, you absolutely need to. Try those trash wings with the signature golden sauce or with a little bit of ranch, and you'll absolutely love those trash wings, and you'll keep coming back to the Fenton Bar and Grill. Great salads on a day like today, up to 77 degrees. They're going to have fantastic wraps, great burgers for you, and, of course, they'll be open during the holiday weekend as well. It is the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. Learn more at fentonbarandgrill.com, and when you go, tell them Randy sent you.
it.
Want to say something? We'll put it out there. If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Time for Team League, guys. We talked earlier about Bob Gibson coming back on one day's rest down the stretch in the 1964 season. We saw Madison Bumgarner do it for the Giants back in the World Series in 2014 when the Giants beat the Kansas City Royals. Take it or leave it, we will see a pitcher, and Randy Johnson did it, by the way, in the 2001 World Series. Take it or leave it, we will see a pitcher, regular or postseason, in our lifetimes that comes back on one day's rest.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm going to take that for sure. Oh, I take it for sure. I think that you'll get it in a World Series game or winner-take-all league championship series. That would be my guess.
Have we seen that with did the Rangers do that with Jordan Montgomery this last postseason, or am I just imagining?
One day. I don't think. It wasn't one day. No.
Okay. I was trying to remember if I think it will happen. I think there will be a situation where it happens. So
did Kershaw do it against Washington, maybe? In the playoffs a few years ago?
I don't remember. I know it was short day's rest. I don't know if it was just one or if it was two. I thought maybe two.
Yeah, I'm leaving it because of the proliferation of analytics people and agents. I don't think that group of people will allow it to happen.
I wonder, though, if agents or the player just says when they get to that point, I'm throwing all that out the window and I'm going for a championship and my competitive side is coming through. I'd like to think that. Yeah. I don't know if it's necessarily true, though.
And remember how Houston was scared to use Garrett Cole, even though he was going to be a free agent in a situation like that in 2019.
I think the reputation of an organization is at stake, too, to where if Garrett Cole gets hurt, people say, well, you didn't care about the player. Where in reality, you probably went to the player and said, are you okay doing this? He signs off on it and you go ahead and do it. It just doesn't happen very often anymore.
And this is why I threw the agent in there, because if you're even thinking about it, you've got to call Boris first.
Right. It does seem that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You really do. Take it or leave it, guys. Major League Baseball needs the replay strike zone system.
So not just the automated strike zone, you want a replay strike zone. How many challenges do I get?
Maybe would 3 be too much? Because I know where you're going with this. You're concerned about the pace of play of the game. Maybe 1 or 2 a game?
I'm not only concerned about pace of play, I'm a fan of the human element. I am a fan of, now I want to see the out calls made right, but I think like at the strike zone, you're just going to have some bad calls and you live with it. I know it's not perfect, and I know there's people out there who are saying get those calls right, too, and I understand that. But I'm a fan of the human element of baseball. I miss the good old arguments. I miss what we saw the other day with Ali Marmol. I thought it was great.
You like Newt Bar coming out of the dugout?
I like Newt Bar come flying out, even though he got ejected from the game. I like that part of the game. I miss it.
I do get that. So what would you, then how do you feel about just robot umps in general?
I think they're coming.
Yes. So would you rather have that, or if I'm just starting out here with the replay strike zone system?
I would rather have the robot umpires. Yeah, automated strike zone. I might as well just start it clean sheet and do it that way.
Right. And you want that. It's interesting because even players like the human element, and they like the fact that certain umpires have certain strike zones. I'm a big proponent of, okay, this is the rule, this is the strike zone, let's abide by that. And I do believe that if the strike was called, it's basically called from your armpit to the top of your knee. If that was a strike zone, the game would be so much better because it would force people to swing the bat. It'd be a lot easier to throw a strike because right now it's from your belly button to your knee, basically.
Let me ask you this, though. Just thinking outside the box, if you call the higher strike, how many strikeouts do we have now in the game with guys that throw four-seamers so hard up in the zone? You could just absolutely dominate hitters. I mean, you're already getting dominated for the most part because guys are throwing so hard, it seems like. But I wonder if you called a higher strike, would that be a problem with Major League Baseball and they want to generate offense? Would you have a lack of offense in that regard? Or do you think the players would just make the adjustment?
I think ultimately the hitters would adjust. Because look at the way they always, when he was here, how few strikeouts Jordan Hicks had, even though he was throwing 105.
Right.
Yeah.
He's throwing that sinker a lot, you know. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. By the way, the last year in the minor leagues in AAA, half of the games were all robo-ump, and half of the games had 3 challenges. And I don't know how it played out, which wound up being better. But if you have 3 challenges a game, I think that's a good idea. And by the way, when Greg did a game with the rules, and we can talk about this with Greg tomorrow, but there were teams, I think pretty much every team, they wouldn't let their pitcher make a challenge because they were so emotionally invested. So it had to be the manager or the catcher that called.
I like that idea. Yeah,
I
it makes
just think
sense.
if you like the human element, maybe there is something there that you could have with the replay strike zone system where you still get to keep the ump, but maybe it feels a little bit more fair to the game. But I can understand if you're working on pace of play, and that's been a big concern with Major League Baseball, it doesn't exactly help in that regard.
So the umpire is wearing something in his ear.
Right.
And basically they've got the guy up in the press box saying ball or strike, and he just makes the call instantaneous off the computer.
Yeah, it's like the UFL.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, take it or leave it. Barry Bonds is headed to the Pirates Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Two-parter here. Will he be booed by Pittsburgh fans? And 2, should this be the Band-Aid that's pulled off and get him into Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame?
Okay, good questions. I would say that he will get a standing ovation. Time heals all wounds, and he was great for them. And heck, they went to the playoffs 3 years in a row with him as their best player. And everybody would have left for the contract that he got from the Giants. So I think he'll be afforded the opportunity to get an ovation there. I don't believe, though, that this will open the door for him for baseball's Hall of Fame.
You know it'll be asked a lot. That's the one thing that you're going to get. But I'm with you. I don't think it gets him into baseball's Hall of Fame.
And the problem is that he was on the ballot. It was the writers that kept him out.
That's right.
Idiots.
You always have to you always have to get through the writers in that situation. I think that's very interesting. I think that the fans, I agree with you, Rainey. I think the fans will be receptive, but I don't know. When it comes to the voting aspect of that, what do you think would be just the biggest reason, even though this is a starting point, but the biggest reason why they wouldn't let him in?
Well, because of the suspicion of steroids.
Yeah.
I know, but it seems like if you kind of looked at recent ballots, I feel like sometimes the perspective has changed from the writers where they're actually looking into it and considering it a little bit more.
Well, I think, though, his involvement in Balco or whatever it was, I mean,
it's pretty obvious,
let's
right?
put 2 and 2 together.
Right. But
where others, it was more about innuendo and how do you keep guys out with just innuendo and not maybe some facts that are behind it.
And why did we pick and choose to deliver innuendo? You've got Bonds and Clemens, right? They've been kept out of the Hall of Fame. Andy Johnson started throwing harder at age 38. Ricky Henderson was a productive player until he was 46 years old. You saw Bagwell and Piazza, right? They're in the Hall of Fame. I think Dennis Eckersley pitched effectively until he was 46.
I still think, though, that some guys are freaks of nature, and it's hard to decipher which guy is a freak of nature and which guy is a creation of what you may put in your body.
Yeah, and so Roger Clemens actually went to federal court, and it was determined that, and he won. He won against his accusers. So why would we suspect him any more than we suspect any of those people that are already in?
And that's the problem that I have with it. There's too much gray area with it.
And it was an era. So ultimately...
And that's what I'm saying is that you just start to embrace the era. Are we getting to that point? And that's my thought process with Bonds is, are we just getting to that point where we accept that that's just part of the era? We don't know truly how many people were fully involved, but maybe it's something that you just kind of note of a little bit of an asterisk of, but then this was happening. This was what was going on during that era.
Yeah, there's so many rabbit holes we can go down here. The fact that Babe Ruth never had to play against minorities, right?
Exactly. A bunch of players.
Yeah, right. And it is. It's to me, it's easy, but I think it's made difficult by people who are making assumptions. But they are making assumptions about everybody. They're making assumptions about a select few.
Yep, that's a good way to put it.
Matthew, what do you got?
Take it or leave it. The Maple Leafs are going to make a Godfather offer for Binner.
Ooh, I'll take that.
Oh,
that's an interesting one.
Yep.
I will take that. That's really good.
Here's the thing with Toronto.
Craig Berube, now your head coach.
Yep. Their high-priced players are all very tradable commodities. It's one of the problems the Blues have with their, obviously, you could have traded Krug last year. He turned it down. But Krug, Falk, Schenner, I mean, they aren't in the class of Marner, Matthews, Tavares, Nylander. All of those Toronto guys are tradable commodities, and the Blues just don't have that. So I could absolutely see Toronto, and especially Chief, wanting to move one of those guys.
Take it or leave it. The only human element you care about in a sport is the players and the coaches.
I'm going to leave that. I think I think there is a very important place for the human element of referees and officials. But sometimes they're game changers, and I think you have to be able to get it right.
Umpires get a lot of heat. You know what? These guys are so good at what they do. I'm specifically talking about baseball. I go back and look at the report cards of the home plate umpires. These guys are unbelievable how good they are. It's just unfortunate when you make the one bad call. That's what, but that's part of the job. I mean, that's where, you're supposed to make the right call. And when you make the bad one or an egregious call, it gets pointed out. But generally speaking, man, these guys are ridiculously good at what they do.
I like the human element of all of it because I think even with the dramatics of it, it's something that you always remember. I mean, even during the Blues Stanley Cup run, you remember specific moments that you had with the refs, different things like that. It's kind of part of the story.
I miss the arguments. I mean, what do you look back at the last 2 weeks of the Cardinals? What's the one thing you think about?
Ollie Ramon getting
exactly getting into it. Daniel Descalso screaming at people.
I think about how the unfairly injected himself into the game yesterday by ejecting Newbar from the dugout like the little baby.
It's got. We don't know what was said, though. I mean,
don't care what was said. You're an adult. Deal with it.
There's certain things you can't say, man.
Oh no, you're an adult. You see, it was a bad call. I don't care. If he pops off at the mouth, so what?
There's some magic words, man. You can't do it
again. But that's being a baby.
Mom,
it's only been I guess
magic words.
They've been babies for over 100 years. It's part of the game.
I'm saying.
Okay.
Adapt to the game. It's being a baby kicking a guy out because he said some words you didn't like.
You see, but you're talking about it. So that's the thing is the human element is it continues the story.
I have to talk about it.
It's a soap opera.
Okay, one more.
Take it or leave it. Wild card baseball games are more exciting than a series because of the win or now or go home situation.
I'll take more exciting, but I prefer the 3-game series that we have, and I would actually prefer longer because here you play 162, right, to determine who the best team is, and all it takes is one fluky thing for a bad team to win one game and knock out a much better team.
Like a thumb.
Yeah.
Thumbs get in the way of things sometimes.
Now and then they do.
Yeah.
So you're saying a short series is not the true test of what you see over 162?
No, and certainly not one game, right?
Yeah.
One game take all? Yeah, for sure.
So, and they are exciting. I'll take it in that it is exciting, but it's not my preference. I would prefer to have at least 3 for that wild card run. I think the way it's set up now with you have, and I know that there's the rust that comes with being a division champion and getting the buys, but I think the setup now is really good.
Would you prefer a 5-game series?
Yeah. No, the more games to determine.
More games, the better for me.
Yeah. And almost inevitably, you get the team that's playing best that wins a 7-game series. Not necessarily the best team, but the team that's playing the best.
But we talked about kind of load management that you're seeing in baseball. You worry about the concern of just how much pressure that puts on the players physically.
Interestingly, we're going to talk about that next.
Oh, did you see how we just led into that one?
On our fresh take here on 101 ESPN.
What's
Hey, it's Randy, and this message is for you. If you're considering selling your home, you will need a reliable, experienced, and trusted agent. Take it from me and get to know Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And here's why you should call. Because she already has buyers for you. Gloria is able to guarantee the sale of your home in writing because she already has buyers, thousands of ready buyers. And with over 20 years of experience, she's been able to put together a database of people looking to buy in your neighborhood and in your price range. And that's how Gloria nets you the most money and creates the highest demand, many times with multiple offers, and that means more money in your pocket. Gloria sells for more and sells faster when compared to your average agent. She is St. Louis local real estate authority. It's Gloria Liu, and her number is 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888. She's been doing it for more than 20 years, and if you want to sell your home, Gloria will do fantastic work for you. Take it from me. Get started by visiting GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Perspective on today's top stories. This is Fresh Take.
Presented by Lindenwood University. Real experience, real success.
In St. Louis, time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Major League Baseball players are wearing sensors now that track how far they move on the field during a game. And Seattle Executive Vice President and GM Justin Hollander said, "We have a report that comes out every morning that includes what's pertinent from the last game. Sort of a running total on where guys might be based on workload over a longer period of time." And so how much a player runs, how hard a player runs is all available now for major league teams. And they can also make a determination as to when a player is gassed and when they might need to sit him. We aren't going to have Cal Ripkins anymore. We aren't going to have Prince Fielders anymore because these teams now have an idea of when a player will start to regress in terms of performance because of how much he's been utilized. So load management, not unlike what we see in the NBA, but a little bit differently, is going to take place here because Major League Baseball teams want to maximize the performance of their players.
It's already happening, basically, is what you're saying. And you're seeing it right now. I was reading the ESPN article about this, and it seems like it's different how they look at this analytically across different teams and how they really manage it. But it seems like if you're in the darker hues, then that's when, of course, the player is doing more. I thought it was interesting that Alex Bregman, he was in the article, and he said, I feel like I'm a better player when I'm in the red, talking about when he's had the heavier workload, when he's playing every single day. I feel like I show up to the ballpark every single day, and I want to play 162-plus postseason every single year. So my question and concern would be, what about the human element of that? Because that's not something that you can track via stats and look at analytically.
Yeah, I think you got to push guys. I think there's times that you got to push guys no matter what the analytics say and no matter what load management says. I get why they do it. They wouldn't do it unless it worked. So it makes sense to do it. I just think that there's certain times in a season and in series and where you're at, and especially like, say, this weekend and a Sunday pops up and you're against the Cubs and you've won the first 2 games and load management says, sit this player. So I want to push. I want to say, I want those players in the lineup. They're going to give me my best chance to win. I also look at it from a fan's perspective that I'll give you an NBA example. So say the Lakers are going to Memphis, and for us as St. Louisans have a short drive to go to Memphis to go watch an NBA game, and they sit LeBron James for load management. That drives me crazy. I want to see the best players play.
That's one of my biggest frustrations with the NBA is that where you just see where it's not even health related. You just see them sitting. You're like, well, there's fans who are showing up.
Exactly.
And I understand that TV revenue will always be king across every single sport. But at the same time, like, what about the people who are coming to see you in person? I just think that the human element would be my biggest concern about load management, especially on the player side, because I feel like you need to build that trust between the player and the organization. And I'd be concerned where if somebody comes over with the stats and say, okay, well, you're in the red, we need to sit you today. But the player's like, no, what's best for me is I need to play every single day. I'm healthy. I don't have any ailments on me. Why would you sit me? That would be my big concern, is that you start to have mistrust between the organization and player.
And it seems like the smart franchises are finding a way around it. In the ESPN article, in the Astros case, Alex Bregman works with Joe Espada to control pregame volume. So whether he's lifting weights or BP or doing running, they cut down on what he does pre and post game. Xander Bogaerts works with Mike Schilt in San Diego, and they start with eliminating BP and then, if needed, cutting down on lifting weights. So there's way to reduce the player's workload without reducing the innings that he's playing, and that probably is going to wind up being the way to go because all this information is out there and available to the players and the managers. I would think that there will be, the big buzzword in baseball now is collaboration. I would think there will be a lot of collaboration between managers and players, those that want to play like Dansby Swanson or Bogaerts or Alex Bregman, and their managers. And then some guys will say, you know what, I'm in the red zone, I can't go.
And some players back in the day, or even currently, would say, I need a day. I need a day. And some other, managers will go to the player and say, you know what, you need a day. We're seeing you. The bat is trailing a little bit. You're not as quick to the ball, so you need a day. And unfortunately, I think there's some players that say, sounds good to me, give me the day off. I want my players to come every single time and say, I'm getting ready to be in the starting lineup, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, I don't care the sport, but you know what? I need to play every single day.
Before we had this information, by the way, there was nobody better at gauging this than Tony La Russa. At this time of year, day game after a night game, he would sit players down, especially on a getaway day, and he would say, hey, if we won this game, it was like a doubleheader win, because not only did we win this game without this player, but this player is going to be healthy in August and September when we really need to win games.
Yeah, Tony used to do that a lot. His Sunday getaway days, you'd look at that lineup and you'd sit there and say, what is going on here? I mean, you had every bench guy that's in the lineup, and it was twofold. One, to give his guys a day off. The other part was to keep his bench sharp, and also the other part was that the bench guys, it was their chance to play. you're going to get the absolute best. Now, I'm not saying the other guys aren't giving their absolute best. They're just tired. But you're going to get the absolute best out of that lineup that you throw out there on that Sunday.
So since we're already seeing kind of load management in Major League Baseball right now, do you think we're creeping a little bit closer to maybe less games during the regular season, or do you think that would ever be something that comes to mind?
You're talking about a schedule?
Yes.
It's been talked about to go to 154, and all I would say is, to a player, if that's what you want, 154, that's fine. We can make it work, but then when your paycheck comes around, it's going to reflect the 154.
Exactly.
And then they're going to say, 162 works for me.
Yeah, can we do 168?
Yeah. A quick conversation.
Can we get to 200?
Yeah.
What do you need to do here? That's part of it, too.
That's today's Fresh Take on 101 ESPN. Coming up, why are the Cardinals being so cavalier about 20% of their games with that fifth starter spot in the rotation? That's next on 101 ESPN.
Great news. We've extended Swiss Air Heating and Cooling's best deal of the year. Save money at SwissAirSTL.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
If you've been injured in a car wreck, you need the best. Onderlaw, voted 2023's best law firm in St. Louis. We know how to handle the insurance companies, and we'll make sure you're compensated for physical.
It was almost 90 degrees in St. Louis yesterday. I hope your air conditioner's working. If you aren't sure whether or not your air conditioner is good to go for the summer months, call my friends at Hoffman Brothers, Heating, Cooling, Electrical, and Plumbing, and they'll take care of everything air conditioner in your home. Their number is 314-664-3011. You can call or text 314-664-3011 or make an appointment online at hoffmanbros.com. And when you schedule your air conditioner tune-up, they're going to come out, they're going to clean out your air conditioner, make sure that it's good to go for the summer months, change the filter, and then they're going to tell you after the tune-up how much lifespan your air conditioner has. And that's an important thing to know because, especially in an area like we have, you don't want your air conditioner going out when it's hot during the St. Louis summer. The maintenance on your air conditioner once a year is just as important as oil changes in your car. So call today or schedule online at hoffmanbros.com, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. Make sure that your home is good to go for the summer and your family is comfortable for the summer months with Hoffman Brothers at hoffmanbros.com. The Cardinals certainly didn't have the pitching depth that they thought they had as they entered spring training. They thought that Zach Thompson and Matthew Liberatore would be fine if Steven Matz ever got hurt and they'd have 6th or 7th starters. Well, as it turned out, Zach Thompson wasn't what they expected he would be based upon what they saw down the stretch last year. Matthew Liberatore has shown himself to be much more effective as a relief pitcher than a starting pitcher. And so the Cardinals essentially are going with 4 pitchers, 4 representative starting pitchers rather than 5. And that would lead somebody to believe that they only have a chance in 20% of their games. I don't think that the Cardinals meant for this to happen. I think they probably figured that at some point Steven Matz was going to get hurt, but they did see down the stretch last year that Zach Thompson was pretty good. I thought he would be good. I'm shocked that he lost all the weight and lost his velo and isn't the pitcher that they expected him to be. I'm not surprised by Matthew Liberatore, but I am disappointed that the Cardinals haven't been able to develop beyond those guys. People like Graceffo, who was their minor league pitcher of the year in 2022, hasn't advanced to a point where you feel comfortable bringing him up. You don't feel comfortable bringing up a McGreevy, a former first-round draft choice. You see so many teams that are bringing up first-round pitchers, and the Cardinals, for whatever reason, can't develop young pitchers within their system and don't foresee bad things happening to their rotation.
Yeah, especially with what happened last year, because Dakota Hudson was supposed to be one of the options they had with the starting rotation, and that didn't pan out. And then also Jack Flaherty, I think they were hoping that he would finally kind of turn into that frontline starter that they wanted for their starting rotation. So it feels like a repeat of the same story, but a little bit different of the situation because of the younger pitchers. You're right. I think that they knew that it was highly likely that Steven Matz would be hurt, but I think they were really banking on one of these guys, Matthew Liberatore or even Zach Thompson, be able to take a step forward, even more so Zach Thompson. Now, everything with him losing weight, Dan, you were on this from the beginning, the drop in velo was the biggest thing, and I think that he's not ready to return just yet because as we're looking for Saturday, he will start for Memphis today, so I would assume that he wouldn't be available as an option for Saturday.
Yeah, and the other one you think about is Palante, and, Randy, you teased it by saying, how are the Cardinals being so cavalier about 20% of their games?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're cavalier. I think they're at a loss.
They're stuck.
They're stuck, and right now it didn't work with Liberatore to no fault of his own. I think he's better in the bullpen. I felt that way since day one watching him because his velocity is up. He's able to get in on right-handers. He's got the big breaking ball. He seems to be more confident in that role, and they're stuck right now. Now, do you go out and get Brad Keller, who is recently been released? Are there some guys that are out there that you want to take a flyer on that can give you 4 or 5 innings and then turn things over to their bullpen? And let's be honest, that's what you have in your rotation right now with some of these guys. Lance Lynn, it was good to see him go 6, and he was really good last night, but that's what you have, and then turn it over to the strength of what your staff is, which is your bullpen.
And that's my big concern, is that you don't want to really hurt the biggest asset that you've had this entire season, which is your bullpen. And Matthew Liberatore was a big part of that. He was really great coming out the pin. So they're in this situation where right now on the 40-man, they have Kloffenstein. He's an option for him. Robertson is another option. Would they turn to one of those guys? And you mentioned Gordon Graceffo. He actually has been pitching a lot better. He pitched his 2nd consecutive game, going 7 innings yesterday. He allowed just 1 earned run off of 5 hits. Biggest thing, no walks, and he fanned 8.
I think they dip into their minor league system. I think we'll see a debut this weekend. Now, of those guys that you just mentioned, Brooke, my guess would be Robertson, and he's pitched well, and the numbers are there. The thing is, they can have good numbers down in the minor leagues, but the coaching staff of the minor league team can sit there and say, look, I know the numbers look good, but they don't necessarily project to what you're going to get when you get to the big leagues, and the only way you find out is to give them a shot.
There is absolutely no chance of the Cardinals being the team that breaks the seal on Trevor Bauer.
Even he said that. John Mozeliak basically said that. We're not going to go down that road. So, yeah, I think it's probably a minor league guy that gets brought up.
I'm with you because I don't think that the Cardinals go out and sign a Cueto or a Rich Hill or somebody like that, because look what happens to pitchers like Blake Snell that don't have spring training, or Montgomery, who had to go down for a couple of weeks. You need immediacy right now, and those pitchers are going to take 6 weeks to get up to speed.
With the exception of Keller.
Right, because he's pitched.
Yeah, he was with the White Sox, I believe.
Is that that's right? What you want, is a guy that the White... Here's the thing.
I know where you're going right now, and it's a good point.
Yeah, Dave Duncan isn't walking through that door. It'd be one thing to get a guy like Keller if you had somebody, and this is not an affront this is just a fact, to Casey Blake. Casey Blake, right?
Dusty Blake.
Dusty Blake.
Casey Blake used to be a player for the Dodgers.
I remember him.
Yeah, Blake Lively. But anyway, he has not shown the propensity to make pitchers better. And so a guy like Keller, if it's Dave Duncan, I say, okay, this guy's got a track record. I'm with you, Cardinals. I'm going to do it because he did it again and again and again. Dusty Blake just has not done that. So I'm not comfortable bringing in a guy like Brad Keller, who, of all teams, when you get DFA by the White Sox, that's a problem.
Would you give Liberatore another start?
Yes.
I think that's
the option here.
Yeah, I think that's certainly it's got to be on the table.
Yeah.
I'd have to take a hard look at just saying we'll go back to that well one more time, and this is our best option until we feel, we're forced into the issue that we may have to go down to the minor leagues.
My biggest concern is just really putting these young pitchers in a bad situation, because I know that you can't exactly coddle them through everything. Eventually, they need to be ready for the majors, everything like that. But when I'm talking about Sim Robertson, those guys, are they completely ready to take that step to the major league level, or are you going to put them in a position where you know that they're not going to succeed?
And that's where I'm going, Brooke, is that the numbers can look great.
Yeah.
And I'll reiterate this point, but the scouts and the coaching staff will know how this projects to the big leagues. The thing would be is just, do you pull off the Band-Aid and say, we'll take a shot. Let's take a flyer on the guy. Let's see if it works. Let's see if these numbers do translate. It surprises me that if they felt that was the case, that this guy was good enough, he'd be here right now. He'd probably be here right now. And some of these guys, like Graceffo, is 24 years old. He's not a 19-year-old kid. So you want to see these guys, continue to move up in the minor league system. But if they were ready, they'd probably be here right now.
And your point with Gordon Graceffo is that he's not even on the 40-man currently. So that shows you that Kloffenstein and Roberts are ahead of him.
Yep.
Was Jack Flaherty the last average to above average starter the Cardinals developed? Have they
Dakota Hudson had some decent, decent moments.
Yeah. He won 16 games, right?
Right.
But I mean, you look at guys like Oviedo, and you look at some of the other young pitchers that they have brought up over the course of the last, let's go 5 years. Let's say Flaherty was great in the second half of 2019.
Mike Myers moved to the bullpen. I thought he was effective at times coming out of the pen. That would be another one that would come to mind.
I'll never forget his debut.
It was a nasty debut on a Sunday night against the Dodgers.
Yep. Carlos Martinez flames out. Oviedo winds up being bad. Alex Reyes is affected by injury. Jake Woodford was by them a pretty highly regarded guy that never had it happen for him. Daniel Ponce de Leon. It just really has not happened for Cardinal starters in a long time. Whatever happened with Jordan Hicks here, it didn't work out the way it's working out in San Francisco. I would just like to see them, and Mo mentioned this with Frank the other night too, they have not done a good job of developing young pitching.
The one that hurts for me more than anybody is Alex Reyes. Yeah. I knew Alex when he first got signed by the club. We were back in the lower minor league levels down at spring training. He was he was so respectful, and it took me by surprise, just how respectful he was. And I said, who is that kid? And they said, oh, that's Alex Reyes. I said, I heard about him. And he, ascended through the minor league system, and his debut was just electric. That is the one that really hurts. Now, you talk about the trades, and there's trades like the one with Miami that comes to mind when you had Gallen and you had Alcantara. I mean, that one really hurts. And you develop those guys, and then they went on to other spots and had great success. But the one that comes to mind for me of homegrown talent that stayed in the system until the very end, and he signed with L.A., I guess it was, is Alex Reyes. That's the one that really, unfortunately, injuries hit him, and it just came at the wrong time.
And it might be unreasonable. I don't think it is unreasonable to suggest that Sandy Alcantara probably was in a better spot going to Miami than he would have been here in St. Louis.
And why do you say that?
Number one, because we, the Cardinals, have not done a good job of developing young pitchers. But the expectation was going to be extraordinary for him, just like it was for Reyes. He was going to walk into a situation where the expectation was of winning and not have a chance to develop. We have a tendency to forget that he led the league in losses in his first full season. Alcantara did in Miami, 6-14.
And sometimes guys figure it out. I mean, you're right, Randy.
It was his 5th year with Miami when he really got it going.
I've always thought, like, if Dylan Carlson wasn't in St. Louis and was with the Oakland A's, what kind of player would he be?
Would have been different.
The pressure is just not there. And sometimes guys need a reset at a less pressurized situation, and all of a sudden you see their true talents come out.
Lane Thomas with the Nationals.
Yeah, another good call, right? So we did get John Lester for him, though.
Worked down the stretch.
Yeah, it did. It was very helpful.
Jay Happ and John Lester.
Yep. Coming up, we don't need a fighter for the fight because I lost yesterday. I'm a loser. So we got the fight coming up next on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and I want to share with you something that I wish I knew about a while ago, and that is Golden Oak Lending. Listen, we've been there before, possibly racking up credit card debt and maybe even student loans. I know that I've been there before, but the people over at Golden Oak Lending, they are there to help you. While credit card payments have been at an all-time high and mortgage rates have gone through the roof, there's good news. Mortgage rates have started to come down. Golden Oak Lending has mortgage rates at 5.375% fixed, with customers saving on average $1,114 a month. Golden Oak just makes this so easy. I called in and I spoke with Jason, who made the call super quick and professional. He educated us on our current loan and on our house and what to look for in the future. Finance has really never been my thing, but Jason made sure to really educate and guide me to the best solution for my needs. And that's what they do there at Golden Oak Lending. Personalized service that makes you feel heard and really addresses your needs and stress surrounding finances. So call in today at 314-567-GOLD now to get started, or go to goldenoaklending.com and see the reviews for yourself and where to get started. 5.934% APR FHA, 15-year fix with 20% equity and qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS number 114937.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals and the Orioles will resume their game in the bottom of the 6th inning with the Cardinals leading off. It is a 1-1 tie. 11:15 will be when they return to that game. In the NBA playoffs last night, Celtics and Pacers. Celtics 133 over the Pacers, 128 in overtime. Big discrepancy at the charity stripe throughout the game. Celtics going 24 of 30 from the stripe. The Pacers go just 9 of 10. And in the NHL playoffs tonight, Rangers and Panthers start their conference finals right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 6:30. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Joe Listener, and in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke, Dan, Rockio, and Randy here, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter returning today is Jerry. Jerry, how are you doing?
Doing good, Brooke. How about you?
Oh, we're doing great. Okay, how did you feel after yesterday?
NHL and NBA aren't my strong suits, but we got the win, so we're playing with house money today.
Ooh,
What is your strong suit?
Oh, I like football and baseball.
All right, we got some baseball for you. Did you go around the neighborhood screaming, I beat Randy yesterday? Or
Yeah, I was banging my chest and my shirt off all day yesterday.
I loved it. That a boy.
And you should be able to do that. Are you ready for question number one, Jerry?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Happy birthday to Jordan Walker. Walker hit his first Major League Baseball home run in his second career series, facing off against which National League team? Oh, sorry, I forgot your options. Brewers, Braves, or Rockies. I was trying to make you go Randy style because you did so well yesterday.
Oh, no. We'll go with the Brewers.
Is that your final answer?
Yep.
All right. On this day in 1990, baseball history was made when this player became the first ever to be intentionally walked 5 times in a game. Which National League slugger was it? Was it Kevin Mitchell, Darryl Strawberry, or Andre Dawson?
I'll go with Andre Dawson.
Final answer?
Yep.
On to question 3.
There are 9 players in the 600 home run club. Who is the only one to pass that milestone before the age of 36? Is it Willie Mays, Ken Griffey Jr., or A-Rod?
Ken Griffey Jr.
And every position has a player with a streak of 10 or more consecutive Gold Gloves won, except second base, where the all-time leader won 9 straight. Who owns that record? Is it Bill Mazeroski, Ryan Sandberg, or Joe Morgan?
Ryan Sandberg.
All right, how we feeling, Jerry? I'm going to go grab Randall.
Not great, not great.
No, well, you said that yesterday, and it turned out pretty well for you. You never know.
Yeah, we'll see.
You said you were a baseball fan, right?
Oh,
apparently not.
I was just double checking. I was like, part of me was like, oh my god, did he actually say he was something like because I did hockey and NBA. I'm like, was he actually an NFL fan? And I screwed it up.
So you were catering towards
I wasn't
Jerry
catering.
for these
it was
questions.
just that I happened to come across a lot of baseball questions, and I was like, I'm pretty sure this isn't going to completely, screw Jerry over.
You were catering to Jerry.
I was not.
You want Randy to lose, is what I heard.
You? I don't make these days happen. It just the calendar worked out.
Randy, say hi to Jerry again.
Jerry, good morning. How you doing?
Doing great, Randy. How'd you round a golf go yesterday?
It was good. We had a good time. It was with the Painting and Decorating Foundation tournament, and had a chance to play with Dan Weinstrauer from the Painting and Decorating Foundation, Brian Lucas from the Blues, and Whitey Herzog's son, Jim Herzog. So we had a good time. It was fun.
There you go. That's awesome.
You said something, Randy, that stuck out to me yesterday. You said no one in this country should go hungry.
Nobody.
And nobody should. And I emceed Operation Food Surge golf tournament yesterday, and I actually used that line. You're 100% right. Nobody should be hungry in this country.
With as much food as we have and we produce, it's inexcusable that we have kids that are going to school starving.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Terrible.
Yeah. You ready for question number 1, Randy?
Ready.
Happy birthday to Jordan Walker. Walker hit his first Major League Baseball home run in his second career series, facing off against which National League team?
Who was it last year in that second series? Trying to think. Maybe Atlanta? I'll do the lifeline, and if Atlanta's there, I'm going with it.
Brewers, Braves, or Rockies?
I'll go Braves.
It's the old sweep, I believe, early on in the season.
Yeah.
Kind of a sign of things to come at that point. On this day in 1990, baseball history was made when this player became the first ever to be intentionally walked 5 times in a game. Which National League slugger was it?
5 intentional walks in a game?
That's right.
1990. Mm-hmm. National League slugger. Well, Barry was playing in 1990, but he was playing for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Who was the best power hitter of 1990 in the National League? The Reds were the World Series champions that year. They didn't really have a big-time slugger.
Eric Davis with a lacerated kidney.
Yeah.
In the World Series, and they swept the A's.
Swept the A's, yeah. It was pretty fun. It was good.
Yeah.
I like that. Let's see. Cards, Cubs, Reds, Pirates, Dodgers, Padres, Slugger, Braves, Mets. You know what? I'll just 5 intentional walks in one game. This is great. Hold on here. Let me just think about if there was anybody obvious that I'm missing out on here before I just say, oh, yeah, it was Barry Bonds. Let's see. Was a steroid era? Kind of. No, it was a steroid era.
Larry, a precursor, really.
Yeah.
Maybe just beginning.
Right, yeah. That's pretty.
Could look at it either way.
Yeah. I guess I will go. Would they have walked Barry to get to Bobby Bonilla, though? Would they have done to well, he was a leadoff hitter. You wouldn't do that. So that's not a very smart choice. I'll go with I don't know. I was thinking about Gary Sheffield, but he wasn't in his prime yet. You know what? You brought up the name Eric Davis. I'll go with Eric Davis. What the hell?
All right. I wasn't trying to give away an answer, by the way.
I know you. The people go nuts if you did.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. It'd be justice for Randy.
It would.
Justice for Jerry.
Let's just think about who was in the playoffs in 1990. 1990, you had the Reds. Giants were still pretty good at that time. You had Matt Williams. I'll go back to Barry. I'll go Barry.
All right.
Final?
Is that your final answer?
Ultimately, that's my final answer, yes.
Okay, just making sure. Yeah. There are 9 players in the 600 home run club. Who is the only one to pass that milestone before the age of 36?
Before the age of 36. Let's see. 9 players in the 500?
600.
600. Well, let's see. Griffey was a pretty young slugger. I think Sammy had passed it. Let's see. A-Rod, I think, was like 37 or so when he did it. It's amazing that there's 9 of those guys. I'll go with Griffey.
Okay, and question 4. Are you ready?
Ready.
Every position has a player with a streak of 10-plus consecutive Gold Gloves won, except second base, where the all-time leader won 9 straight. Who owns that record?
I'm going to go with Roberto Alomar, just because he seems obvious. So the first one that came to mind was Sandberg, but I'll go Roberto Alomar.
Matthew, it's time for you to do your thing.
All right. No tiebreaker needed today. Another close fight. Jerry looking for another win. Randy Carricker looking to stop a potential Hall of Famer. Immovable fort or unmovable object. Immovable force. Unstoppable force. Immovable object.
Whatever.
There it is.
Yeah, you know.
I got the phrase right the third time. That's where it really works. It really hits it when you get it the third time. Ring that bell.
The winner and new champion of the fight, Average Joe Listener.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis. With the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
My apologies, Jerry. You should have gotten the returning winner sounder. I'm very out of practice in playing that sounder, you see. But Jerry did take down Randy today with a 2-1 victory in round 2 of his fight run. Good job, Jerry. You will have a shot at the Hall of Fame tomorrow.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That was a tough fight.
Yes, it was. I thought it was going to be easier than yesterday's, you guys, and it turned out to be a little bit tougher. So let's go through the questions and answers. Happy birthday to Jordan Walker. He hit his first Major League home run in his second career series. It was, in fact, a sweep by the Braves early on for the Cardinals last year. He did it in the last game of that series. On this day in 1990, baseball history was made when this player became the first ever to be intentionally walked 5 times in a game. It was Andre Dawson, who was playing for the Chicago Cubs at the time. 9 players in the
Bonds
600.
was the MVP that year. So you were close.
9 players in the 600 home. Was he a slugger by 1990?
He was the
Bonds?
MVP in 1990.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
I went and looked back at it.
There are 9 players in the 600 home run club. The only one to pass that milestone before the age of 36 was, in fact, Alex Rodriguez, who did it at 35 years and 8 days old. Barry Bonds is the lowest at bats in the NL to get to 600 home run club, but Alex Rodriguez, the youngest player ever to do it. And every position player has a player with a streak of 10 plus consecutive Gold Gloves won, except for second base. Alomar has the total record, but the consecutive record is Mr. Ryan Sandberg with the 9 straight. Alomar did eventually get a 10, but his were more spread out across a couple different teams. So another win for Jerry, 2-1 today in the fight. Jerry, we will talk to you tomorrow.
All right, thanks, guys.
Good job, Jerry.
Thanks,
we will
Jerry.
talk to you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Coming up next, as we await the arrival of Tom Stillman at the top of the 9 o'clock hour, we've got our rush hour reset coming your way on 101 ESPN.
It's time for a DraftKings at Casino Queen Redbird report on 101 ESPN.
Brooke Grimsley here for your Redbird Report. Last night's game between the Cardinals and Orioles was suspended due to rain, making it a busy day at Busch Stadium today. They will pick back up the game at 11:15. Today's originally scheduled 12:15 game will start after the conclusion of the first game. Prior to the rain, Lance Lynn was rolling against one of baseball's best offenses, giving up just 1 run off 2 hits, no walks, and 5 strikeouts in 6 innings. Today it will be Kyle Gibson getting the start in the series finale against the Orioles.
The Redbird Report is presented by DraftKings at Casino Queen. Play, stay, dine at DraftKings at Casino Queen.
Hey, if you are running a fast-growing business in St. Louis, you need to hear this. NetSuite's Business Grows Here event is coming to St. Louis on Thursday, June 27th, and you don't want to miss it. Why? Well, because NetSuite knows St. Louis is a hub for entrepreneurs with forward-thinking founders, a top talent pool, and pro-business leadership. Apply to attend the business event of the year by going online and signing up. It's going to take place at the Union Station Hotel on Tuesday, June 27th, and you'll learn how Missouri is paving the way for new business growth and capital. See how technology fueled by AI is shaping the way we grow and run our businesses. And you'll be inspired by business leaders like Jamie Siminoff, the founder of the Ring Video Doorbell, who headquartered his next company right here in St. Louis. NetSuite by Oracle. Business Grows Here is free to attend if you qualify. Apply right now to find out because seats are going quickly. Block out your calendar for Thursday, June 27th. Apply at netsuite.com/Missouri, netsuite.com/Missouri, and get there on June 27th to hear Jamie Siminoff speak.
Start the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
We have game one between the Rangers and Panthers tonight, 6:30 pregame here on 101 ESPN as Matthew Tkachuk and the Panthers try to win the Stanley Cup against a team that won the President's Trophy this year, the New York Rangers. Meanwhile, the Cardinals play at 12:15 over at the ballpark, 11:15 actually with the resumption of last night's suspended game, and then we'll have the second game. The second game will come your way on Bally at, well, it's after the first game. The first game, they're not going to finish it in an hour because they still have 3 innings to go.
And Lance Lynn was really rolling in that game prior to the rain, which is weird. What is up with Lance Lynn and rain games? That just continues to happen with his starts. But he gave up just 1 run off of 2 hits, no walks, 5 strikeouts, and 6 innings, 82 pitches for him. So he was really rolling last night.
That happened to Michael Walker a few years ago.
Oh,
Remember
yeah,
when
always
every
rained.
time he pitched, Whole Man Road, it was
Yes.
rain.
The first game sets up just like normal. If you want to get to your bullpen and your big 3 guys, that's the way it sets up. You got Kittredge, you got Romero, and you got Helsley at the end. If it rolls out that way, the other part of this is that what would be a nightmare to an extent is going into extra innings for both clubs and burning some guys, and then how quickly could you bring them back, or can you bring them back in the second game of a doubleheader? Like, to me, Helsley's interesting. Like, do you want to bring him twice in one day into a game? I would too. I do. I push him. You got the off day tomorrow, then the Cubs on Friday. I'm with you, but I guess it all is dependent on how much stress is in that first appearance if you get to that point.
I think that he would come in that situation. So if you were Ollie Marmol managing the bullpen today, would you put the first 3 guys in that first game just because you want to close it out so you don't have to worry about that possibility?
Absolutely. He's treated like a 1-1 game going into the 7th inning of a game like last night.
And 2 nights ago, the entire bullpen threw 39 pitches, the entire group. And it was 4 innings. So they are not overly taxed at the moment. So I'd be willing to do that. And then if you Gibson goes in the second game, you feel reasonably confident that Gibson's going to give you a reasonably good outing. So, and that would be 6 innings. And you have other guys. And if it's a blowout either way, if it's a 7-up game, then you've got Loudis here now, or Ludis, whatever his name is. We'll find out. But he's his pitching coached by Dusty Blake. Come on, guys, give me some credit here.
I cannot.
So, but if you've got a 7-up, 7-down game, you use him.
I think you push Gibson in game 2.
Yep, I agree.
If you are in that scenario where game 1 goes a little bit longer than what you want, then you say to Kyle Gibson, hey, we need 6. Give us at least 6. Let's push you maybe into the 7th because out of necessity you may have to do that.
Right. That's who he is too. He is your innings guy.
He's been better than advertised for me.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, he's everything he could have. Especially because I thought he would be similar to Lynn actually, but he's given more innings and been more effective than I thought. He is a guy, and I know the analytics people hate this, and the process people hate this. It's all about the process. It's not about the results. He makes pitches at big times.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's a pitch maker, and those are the guys that win games for you.
I'm with you. I kind of thought you'd get Lance Lynn type starts out of him, 5, maybe 6, and he's been, for me, like I said, better than advertised and going deeper into games than I thought.
Yep. All right, there is your Rush Hour Reset here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, the chairman of your St. Louis Blues, Tom Stillman, is in the building. He's going to join us for the next half hour here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN.
There's nothing more important than the look and feel of your home. So now's the time to make your home your retreat. Replace your tired old windows and doors with Marvin replacement products designed to improve comfort and efficiency. Fisher Window and Door Store, a reputable local company, will guide you through the entire replacement process. Their experts will help you make the right choice for your home, and they'll measure, design, and install your new windows and doors.
Hi, I'm Jim Fisher. Since 1941, the Fisher family has provided you with quality American-made building products, including Marvin Windows and Doors. Come visit one of our showrooms in Brentwood or East Alton, and let us help you increase the value of your home.
Bring that distinct sense of quality to every room with Marvin. Visit Fisher Window and Doors' huge, newly remodeled showroom in Brentwood or Fisher Lumber in East Alton, Illinois. Quality and comfort starts at Fisher Window and Door. Online at fisherwindow.com.
If you have a business and you're trying to connect better with your customers, I have a great way for you to do it. It's 2060 Digital right here in our building. 2060 Digital is a Hubbard company, and what they do is they'll build a website for you and they'll enhance your social media presence so that it will be pristine. As a matter of fact, if you want to be the #1 search on Google, 2060 Digital can set that up for you. They work with your people to make sure that we're going to find your customers, and your customers are going to be targeted, and they're going to come to you because when they go to the web, they're going to find you via 2060 Digital. It's a great St. Louis company with great people, and not only are they going to set things up so that you have the ability to reach those customers, but they have quantifiable evidence that they're doing great work for you. Their analytics department is fantastic. They're easy to find on the web. Go to 101ESPN.com/2060 Digital and set up an appointment and get a consultation from them today. If you want to reach your customers via the web, it's 2060 Digital. The opening drive on your home of the St. Louis Blues, 101 ESPN. Brooke Grimsley, Dan McLaughlin, Randy Carricker, and we welcome into the studio the chairman of the St. Louis Blues, Tom Stillman. Tom, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks very much for having me.
So I got to start with this, and I always ask this when you aren't in the playoffs anymore. Are you watching, and how does it feel for you to be watching without your team in it?
You know, I generally don't watch at first, and then gradually, you know, the sting goes away, and I start watching. So now I'm watching some.
Okay.
And it, you know, it's great hockey, you know, and you like to know what's going on and how teams are playing and all.
So the sting, because I'm the same way, there's a little bitterness, right? When the playoffs start,
yeah,
we're not in it.
We're not there. We don't have that excitement around the bill. You know, it's not a great feeling. So, you know, it takes a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is the sting. What is the feeling right now just going into the offseason? Obviously, the interim tag, no more for Drew Bannister. So a new movement here fully with him as the head coach of the organization moving forward.
I feel really good about going into next year. I think Drew did an outstanding job last year. That's not easy. I was there, you know, the night Doug called him and said, "So, you ready to come to St. Louis and be our coach, interim coach?" That's kind of tough. And he came in and took the reins, and you know, he did an excellent job. And I think it's always better for the whole organization, players, the whole staff to know that this is the coach. He's not the interim coach. I think that's a positive development as well. So I think he made a lot of progress last year in our compete level and getting young guys, you know, into the lineup, you know, willing to accept some mistakes so that we can develop players. also holding players, accountable, while at the same time, respecting players, working on communication with the players, always improving that, but at the same time, holding them accountable and with one of the few levers that a coach has, which is ice time. So, I think he accomplished a lot.
From your perspective, what was the season like from your chair?
It was up and down. I mean, I think Doug laid out our expectations at the beginning of the year. He has said since maybe he was too honest with that. So we ended up around where we thought we were. I guess we all thought that we could have played more consistently, especially against some of the lower-ranking teams, and we would have been in the playoffs. But at the same time, I think we made a lot of progress on our plan going forward, which is to insert your word, without tearing everything down to the studs.
So rebuild, retool,
whatever you want to call it. It's coming up with debating that word is kind of semantic. So
for sure,
we're reing and doing that in a way that we don't have to tear it down to the studs. We don't have to have many years in the wilderness before we come back and be at our contending club again. We think we can do that, and I think we made good strides on that this year.
Tom, you said that maybe Doug was too honest, and we get a ton of response. People greatly appreciate the honesty that the Blues have. You came here and sat in the studio last year and said, we aren't elite, and Army at the beginning of the season said, hey, I hope we're in the middle of the top tier. Because you guys know what you're talking about. You own this team because you're a fan. So what about your perspective when you hear Army say, at the beginning of the year, I hope we're battling for a playoff spot? How do you feel about that?
Well, first, I thought that was really accurate. I think it's best to be straight on that. We don't want to be the flim-flam man saying, oh, yeah, we're there. I mean, we should be in the final. That's not. Saying that doesn't mean that we're settling for that. Obviously, we're pushing to move way up that ladder and play better than we expected and get more out of our team. But it's also, I don't know, you solve a lot of problems if you're just honest.
Right, no doubt. Yeah, and your fans really, really do appreciate it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's just it's a better way to go, and you don't have to keep track of whatever fibs. I mean, it's just why? Yeah. What's the purpose?
And I want to go back to that question about tearing it down to the studs. And nobody wants to do it. Chicago did that, and some teams have done it for years. Will this fan base hang in for a 5-year run like that of not making the playoffs and being really bad? What's your research show?
I think that, yes, the bulk of the fans would. But it's only natural that you're going to lose, some that are, out toward the perimeter of enthusiasm. It's just natural. And, as in any business, it's those marginal consumers and dollars that really make the difference between, making ends meet and not. Mm-hmm. Now, having said that, I mean, I don't mean to suggest that's the only reason we're going this way. If we thought that was the only way that we could get to the promised land and become a contender again, we'd probably do it. If there's one route and that's it, mm-hmm. We just don't believe that. We believe that, actually the Blues and Doug have shown for a number of years that they've been able to remain competitive despite not getting the real top draft choices year after year. In fact, I think that's shown by the last few years. I mean, our prospect pool has changed dramatically over the last 2 years. Suddenly adding 4 first-round draft choices last year, adding Bolduc before that and Snuggerud before that. We think we can do this. If we didn't think this would work, we wouldn't be going this way, this in-between way of remaining competitive while we build back up to a competitor, a contender.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just to continue with that, kind of to stay competitive, because of course always playoffs is the goal. So what are your expectations for this offseason? I know that, and Randy talked about this, we appreciate the honesty from Doug Armstrong. He said not to maybe really expect any splashy moves. I understand that things are ever changing, so that could change during the course of this offseason. But just talking with him, what are your expectations for this offseason?
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you anything different. I don't expect a lot of big splashy transactions. You never know what could happen and what could come up. But, we are continuing to work this plan of internal growth, continue to draft and develop players. We don't want to add, some older player who's, a hot free agent, because when it comes time for us to be a contender, he's not going to be there anymore. Now, if there were younger players out there that fit our age group and core, I suppose that's possible. But, we have a lot of the basic blocking and tackling. The draft combine is in the next few days, and we've got the draft. We've got, the free agency, which, frees up a lot of other things happen around then. But again, we don't expect a big splash, but we expect to continue, working our plan.
You can imagine fans are curious about the television situation. Have you looked at that, where you're at now, what it might be in 3 or 4 months, and contingency plans for fans to easily access your games?
Yeah, that is been, obviously that's been a big issue for us and the other, whatever it is, 14, 15 NHL teams that are with Bally's or Diamond Sports Group. And a tremendous amount of work goes into that at our level and at the league. Unfortunately, it is still uncertain. It's uncertain whether Bally's, Diamond Sports Group, is going to be able to stay in business. In a lot of ways, that would be the best outcome for us now. We have a good deal with them. We're one of their better markets because both us and we and the Cardinals do well and have high ratings. There is some decent chance that will work. Others doubt that it will. And we in the league are working on, multiple options in that event. I don't know if you've seen what, some teams around the league have done. Some have gone over the air. Some have gone with streaming options. So we're confident that we will have something so that our fans will be able to see our games. Some of those options may not be as advantageous to us financially.
I was just going to add, does it affect your what comes into the organization?
Some options would. Some options could be pretty good. So, again, I wish I actually knew what happened, and we're trying to just obfuscate, but I'm not. I mean, it's uncertainty.
State of flux.
Yeah, it's state of flux. I mean, it reminds you going back to COVID. I think the hardest thing about COVID, the whole pandemic, was uncertainty. One day, 1 week to the next. What are we doing this week? I mean, this is similar in that way. There's uncertainty, and it's pervasive, from Bally's to their creditors to the leagues to the individual franchises involved. Now the leagues are really pushing Bally's, Diamond Sports Group, make a decision. We got to know, and the judge continually gives them more time without and that's their job. They're there to protect the direct stakeholders, but the leagues and the teams are sort of on the outside because our need for certainty by when seasons start and to be ready for season that's not a big factor in the matrix of a bankruptcy judge.
Would it affect how you spend in the off season? Or in future off seasons as you plan out? Because I know you're planning not only for what's going to happen in a month and a half, but you're looking ahead to year 2, year 3, year 4, and what you need to do with the players that are in-house and also looking outside the organization.
I don't think that will have any significant effect, and one reason for that is that there's uncertainty in exactly what it will be in the next couple of years, but we and the league are pretty confident that over 2 or 3 years from now, we'll be on something, could be something completely different. We could be on a national platform. We could be on, our own streaming, but it'll get resolved, and we see this as a short-term, issue. I mean, not 3 months, 2 years, something like that, where 2-3 years where we're going to take a financial hit, but we can't let that affect whether we're going to be competitive 2, 3, 4 years from now. So we will be taking, we'll be making the moves, on players that we have to make. And if that's a little tougher for us now, we'll accept that because we've got to have ourselves in position years going forward.
The Blues chairman, Tom Stillman, with us in studio in the opening drive on 101 ESPN. More coming up about the future, and the Blues have some cool stuff coming up in the month of June, as always, on the anniversary, the 5-year anniversary of their Stanley Cup. We're going to talk about that and more as we continue with Tom Stillman coming up on 101 ESPN. Hey, if the Cardinals hit a home run today, you can get a free donut at Schnucks tomorrow. It is a really cool deal. If the Cardinals hit a home run, you score a free donut because it's Donuts for Dingers, and it's every single game for the rest of the Cardinals season. When you're watching the game and you see the Cardinals hit a home run, you know that you can go to Schnucks the next day for a free, freshly made donut. All you have to do is download the Schnucks Rewards app, and when you do, a Schnucks Rewards coupon is going to show up in your box. So just clip that coupon in your app and you'll be able to show it and you'll be able to get your donut, but you'll have to do it in a hurry while supplies last. You already know that Schnucks has the best donuts in town. Heck, they've got the best bakery in town, and now they've got dingers for donuts at Schnucks. Again, it's easy to do. All you need to do is download the Schnucks Rewards app and root for a homer from the Redbirds, and you have donuts for dingers for donuts. They taste better when they're free. Donuts for dingers when the Cardinals hit a home run, only in the Schnucks Rewards app. Tom Stillman with us in studio. One of the fun things the Blues do every year, and we all remember how we got to We Went Blues, but We Went Blues Day on the anniversary of the Blues winning the Stanley Cup championship. And there's some really cool things happening this year, Tom, and I know that you as an organization are looking forward to We Went Blues Day this year.
Yeah, we've got a lot of fun things on tap that day. I'm told that we're not releasing all of them, but we are having a trivia night. And
why don't you just break some news here and release all the info? Come on, Tom.
Because Roger over there says I can't do that quite yet. But I do want to invite Randy to be a co-host of our trivia night on the evening of June 12th, if you would.
I would be honored and thrilled to, and I will. The way the last couple of days are going, I don't want to be a player. So,
but I hear you're a trivia expert, so
yes.
I can do that. I can help out with Blues trivia. Absolutely. I would love that. June 12th, right? I'll be there.
Okay.
That's awesome.
And we'll be airing Game 7, a replay of Game 7, as we do every year on We Went Blues Day, and we're looking forward to that. And people
also happens to be my wife's birthday. So
wow. Is that the best birthday present ever?
I think that was.
That was great. Tables of 10 available for $300. That's a great deal. Proceeds will benefit Blues for Kids. You can get more information by going to stlouisblues.com. But that is so fun. And we ask you all the time, but as time passes, and it's amazing that it's been 5 years, isn't it, since you won the Cup?
Yeah.
It's amazing. But I like to ask everybody, what was your, of that night, what is your favorite memory?
I was there with my whole family, and once when we scored the fourth goal, and you knew, because up until then, I did not relax. I didn't. And we were all together, and it's corny, but a 5-person hug, and there were some tears there.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
And then after that, soon after that, I was in my seat, and this security guy from TD Garden, he came down and he walked down the stairs, and he came up to me and he said, "Mr. Stillman, it's time."
That's awesome.
And I knew he meant, for that scene I've watched on television, so many times to go down on the ice. So that was kind of chilling.
You've got goosebumps right now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's phenomenal.
And the parade. I think that was another just favorite moment. What did you remember most from the parade?
Well, I remember we had high. This was going to be great, and we got on the, on the vehicles and stuff around the back of the arena, and there were a bunch of people there. We thought, "Oh, this is great! All these people." And then you came around the corner on Market Street, and it was beyond comprehension. People were a block and a half deep. It was way beyond what I expected, and just the scene of fans and. Up and down. And I guess my favorite scene from the day, I wish I had seen it live, but I saw a photo of that crowd of people and close to the curb and an arm stretching out with an urn.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And, it matched up with so many conversations I'd had with fans over there. I just, I really want my dad to be alive when you win, and and a lot of conversations over the time after we won. Well, I wish my dad had been here, but I'm sure he was. So it all spoke to the passion of the Blues fan, which is off the charts.
I've seen you, speaking of Blues fans, waiting out in the concourse as they come in, and you're shaking hands and kissing babies and hugs and everything else. I mean, you're selling Blues hockey. What are the most commonly asked questions that you get about the on-ice product, where a fan comes up to you and says, "Mr. Stillman, I got your attention. I want you to do this, or I want you to do that." What do you hear from the fans when you're visiting with them face-to-face?
I honestly, I don't get a lot of. It's pretty rare that somebody say, "Why don't you do this?" or "Why don't you do that?" If they do, it's trade Eric Brewer, I guess.
Right, exactly.
I'm an Eric Brewer fan. I thought he was great. My recollection, he was a very good guy and a very good player. And every time you'd see him after a game, I'd always, if we win, say, "Good game. That's a good one." He said, "Yeah, worked out good."
That was about it. Problem with Eric Brewer, he got traded for the wrong guy.
Yeah,
that
he's
was
a
the
very,
problem.
very good player, but you're just stuck.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
So fans come up to you, and I'm sure they're appreciative, though, of the fact that you spend to the cap. And they appreciate the fact that you're trying to put on a good product. And I know that's something moving forward, that's what you're going to be doing.
Yeah, 99% of them say thank you, which says a lot about St. Louis as a Midwestern city where people are, are not all full of themselves and grabby. They're grateful. They're happy with what we're trying to do. And I've had a lot of people now. I mean, I know there are people out there who feel differently, but they're saying, we get it. Teams cycle up and down. You guys are doing the right things to get back. We're supporting, we support you. So keep it up.
Hey, Tom, Jeremy Rutherford, and I know you respect his work, and he does fabulous work at The Athletic, but he had his fan survey last week. And one of the questions was, do you fully understand Doug Armstrong's vision for the retool? And 52.9% said no, they don't understand his vision for the retool. So if you can share it with those fans that don't understand what the vision for the retool is, what would it be in capsule form? Or the re-ing, I guess, or whatever it is.
The re-whatever. I guess it would be that we are, first to describe what it's not, we are not going to tear down the team to the studs and, play for number 1 and number 2, number 3 overall draft choices. We are going to retool and try to accomplish two things.
Okay, let me throw last couple of years ago, what Nashville termed theirs was a competitive rebuild. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good term. So our plan and our goal is to remain competitive with the team we have now and growing internally and maybe some from the outside as we build a team for the future, and I don't mean a long time, to truly contend for a cup. But to do so, to get there without going to rock bottom, to remain competitive along the way.
That's very understandable. That's good.
And also, it's safe to say that you're pushing the youth movement here moving forward, because you were even talking about if you're going to bring in a player, it's going to have to be in that age range. And I know that Armstrong has discussed that before, that would be under that 30 range. And just looking at the youth movement, you brought up Jimmy Snuggerud. I think a lot of fans, and I'm sure you guys, were hoping to see him join the team here recently. But of course, he's going to be returning for his final season, what should be final season at Minnesota. So what was your reaction to him deciding to do that?
Well, we'd sure love to have him here, but we respect the player's decision, his family decision. You have to admire the passion he has for the University of Minnesota. You have to remember he is a third-generation player on that team. And they came very close, not this year, but last year, to winning a national championship. He is passionate about trying to win that. So we get that, and we'd love to have him soon, but we respect his decision.
Are you still playing much hockey?
I haven't been recently. My 72-year-old body is not cooperating. It hasn't been for a long time, but it continues, especially my back. But I'm actually feeling a little better in that way, so I may start skating a bit again. I don't know.
72, man, you look great.
Yeah.
I never thought.
Not inside.
And one of the guys that plays is Bill DeWitt III. And while you're competing with the Cardinals for dollars and for eyes, you have such a great relationship. How much pride do you take in your organization's relationship with the Cardinals and with your personal relationship with Bill DeWitt?
I mean, it's good on so many levels. I mean, they are really good people, really smart in the sports world, so it's great to be associated with them. Billy is a great guy. It's good to be friends with him. I think doing things together is not only good for both organizations, but it's something that the fans love and, enhances pride in our community. It's just all to the good. So we're glad, that both organizations are open to doing that. And, we love seeing the reaction of fans.
And we should point out that the Blues ownership is much of St. Louis City SC's ownership, right? So a lot of the people that you're working with, your partners in ownership of the Blues are also, especially Enterprise and Worldwide, are involved with the soccer team too, correct?
Well, it's really 2 or 3 people. I mean, Andy Taylor and Joanne Taylor Kindle are, and Jim Kavanaugh are members of our group, as well as that group.
So is there synergy there, like
yes,
there is with the Cardinals? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as visible because, the team's not as visible as Cardinals yet. But, yeah, we've been doing things with them. It's new, so it doesn't have as many manifestations yet. But, yeah, we are working together with them.
I guess the final question from me would be, as fans are listening and as they get ready for the offseason and looking at free agency and various things that you'll be doing in the draft right around the corner, what is your message to fans to get them excited about Blues hockey coming up? And it's not that far away, 4 or 5 months when you think about it. So what's your message to fans at what you might do this summer?
I don't know if this is going to be terribly exciting, but I guess I would assure you, as Doug likes to say, we're like a duck. It may seem quiet on the top, but we're paddling hard underneath, and all sorts of things are going on to make sure that we are a better team next year, both, bringing our young guys along, veterans playing their game better. We'll see what happens in free agency. We've said, we don't expect anything terribly flashy, but we will have things happening, and that will be very positive for the organization. So stay tuned.
You got it.
What about for you this summer? Anything fun planned?
Well, actually, yeah. Mary and I have a trip to Ireland, and we spend a good amount of the time this summer in Montana. So,
oh, nice.
And we have a family wedding. My son is getting married in September.
Congratulations.
So, that's our second wedding. So,
fantastic.
So you'll be busy.
Yeah. Hey, I want to ask one more question about a player, because Army has professed his fandom of Pavel Buchnevich. Could you categorize the priority of keeping him around as a member of the Blues from your perspective?
I suppose you'd start with the blanket statement. Who doesn't want to have Buchnevich on their team? He's a great player, and and both sides of the puck. I mean, he's. It becomes a question of what makes sense with a player who I think will be 30 when his free agency comes around. Does that fit with our stage where we are, and especially what term does it take? Term is tough at that age. And so, a lot of factors will go into determining whether that makes sense for our team at that time.
And we all love Chief. I'm glad Chief's in the East rather than having to see him 4 times a year.
Yeah, I'm really happy for him. He's, it's not the fun part of the business, but Chief, fantastic coach, fantastic leader. He did just, legendary work here. He will be a folk hero here always. And we remain friendly, and, all ties with him are great. It's just, things in the NHL, coaches cycle up and down. At some point, it's good to have a change, and I think he's going to do great in Toronto. Not only with most importantly with the team, but the fans will like his no nonsense approach.
Yeah, and the players will too, right?
Yeah,
They love it.
I think so.
So June 12th, We Went Blues Day. We will be airing Game 7 live, as we do every year, on the anniversary of the Blues winning the Stanley Cup. And there's more to come later this week that you'll be able to find out about at stlouisblues.com. But I'm excited. Thank you for inviting me to the trivia night on June 12th over at Enterprise Center. It'll be a fun
thank you
night.
for doing that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it'll be a good time. And you can get involved. Tickets, again, available, a table of 10 for $300. Learn more at stlouisblues.com. Tom, we know that you had a busy morning and you set some things aside so that you could join us in studio. We really do appreciate it.
No, happy to be here. Thank you.
So, and we're thrilled. We've got a new deal starting again with the Blues, and we're thrilled here at 101 ESPN to be partnering with you.
We're thrilled about it as well.
Great to have it. Tom Stillman, the chairman of the Blues, with us on 101 ESPN. Coming up next as we continue, if Jayson Tatum and the Celtics wind up winning a championship, will he be on the Mount Rushmore of St. Louis produced athletes? That's coming your way on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here for Universal Windows Direct. Spring has arrived and it's only going to get hotter from here. I mean, it's been in like the 80s and 90s here recently, but you should not cool off the outside this year. Call my guys over at Universal Windows Direct. While we're all excited for it to get warmer outside, I love the summertime, but I never love my energy bill that comes with it. And that's where Universal comes in handy. Their windows feature super spacer technology, which helps keep the edge of the glass warmer, holds the window seal longer, and makes the windows last up to 5 times times longer than other window systems. So your windows from Universal perform better and they last longer. Schedule your free in-home estimate today, and for every 2 windows you buy, get the next 2 for free, plus 0% financing for 60 months. Universal Windows Direct backs it all up with a true 20-year warranty. Mention my name and get an additional $250 off your next project. Go to UWD.com. That's UWD.com. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
Hey guys, how you feeling this morning? If you are not as energetic as you were in your younger days, maybe you're not as mentally sharp as you used to be, could be an issue with low T. And low T happens to every single guy when we pass the age of 30, but it's a problem that can be solved if you go to Mentality. They have 2 great clinics in Chesterfield and in South County. You can learn more and make your appointment right now at lowtusa.com. And when you go, they're going to do a complete panel of your blood work to test where your testosterone level is. And once they find out where it is, they're going to restore it with an FDA-approved testosterone supplemental treatment that will get your testosterone level back to where it was when you were in your 20s. So you'll be able to get through that workout that maybe you haven't been able to lately. You'll be able to get through that run or that bike ride or walking the 18 holes of golf. It is a life changer. I'm going to head on over to Mentality later this afternoon, and I go there every week, and it'll make a difference in your life like it has for thousands of St. Louis guys. A great local clinic that you will enjoy. You'll enjoy the people. The nurses and doctors are fantastic. It's easy and it's effective. It's Mentality at lowtusa.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals and the Orioles will resume the game today in the bottom of the 6th. The Cardinals will lead off in the bottom of the 6th in a 1-1 tie. The Cardinals will then, of course, have game number 2. Coming up later today, Kyle Gibson is slotted to start for the Cardinals in game number 2 on the day. Last night in the NBA playoffs, Celtics over the Pacers 133-128 in overtime as they take a 1-0 lead in the Eastern Conference Finals. And speaking of Eastern Conference Finals, Panthers and Rangers game 1 tonight on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 6:30. And if you missed our 30-minute interview with Tom Stillman, you can go back to the Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers podcast later this afternoon and listen to the whole thing. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
On the Stillman interview, the Tom Stillman interview, both on the text line and on the YouTube chat. We do appreciate it, and we appreciate him taking a half hour out of his day to come and visit with us. I asked Dan during the break if he's got to be the nicest owner in sports, doesn't he?
He's one of them. Yeah, he's one of them for sure. He'd be at the top of my list of others that I enjoy being around as well. But yeah, he's among that group that I would look at and love his honesty. As much as he can be honest, he takes it to a level that he understands that the airwaves here are talking to the fans. I mean, ultimately, that's what we're doing. You're the conduit. We are from the fan to those that we interview, and I think he handles himself outstanding in the way that he does it.
Yeah, and I think the fans appreciate that transparency, because even towards the end, when you knew that they were not going to make the playoffs, you still had fans show up, because I think that they understand the honesty, and it makes you want to buy into the competitive, what do we now stated as?
Competitive rebuild.
Okay, competitive rebuild that the Blues are doing now.
Yeah, and you can, by the way, hear that interview on the Dobbs Tire and Auto Center podcast that we'll have both on the app, the 101 ESPN app, or if you want to check it out at 101ESPN.com, you can do so. Okay, Jayson Tatum with a great performance in overtime last night as the Celtics win Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals over the Indiana Pacers. And as a basketball player, you do have to win championships. I don't think you have to go as far as ESPN does and saying basically it's a one-on-one, that it's Tatum versus Halliburton, because there are 4 other guys on the court at one time. But Jayson Tatum will establish himself as not only an NBA great, but an NBA all-time great if he can lead the Celtics to a championship, and a St. Louis great. So, guys, if he wins, I believe that he joins a very select list of St. Louis-produced athletes that is capable of being on a Mount Rushmore. JJK is clearly on, and this is athletes. It's not St. Louis sports people. It's not broadcasters. This is athletes that have come from St. Louis or our area. We'll throw Bill Bradley from Crystal City in there. But JJK is on the list, right?
100%. Yes.
Okay, so she's on the Mount Rushmore. I'm going to put Max Scherzer on the Mount Rushmore.
Oh. Okay.
Hall of Famer, easy baseball Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yogi? Yes, Yogi Berra,
Yep,
100%.
So that's 3 of the 4. So Tatum would have to displace people like Steve Atwater, Ezekiel Elliott, JoJo White, who's a basketball Hall of Famer, Pat LaFontaine, a hockey Hall of Famer who was born here.
Do you put David Freese?
David Freese would certainly be somebody, especially because of that moment that you'd think about putting up on a Mount Rushmore. By the way, this is not the fast lane where they have 5 on their Mount Rushmore. We only have 4.
I was like, there's a lot of heads on this one.
Yeah.
I got a couple that'll throw you. What about Bob Golby?
Bob Golby definitely deserves
Wins
to be.
the Masters. Yep. You know, that would be one. What about Jimmy Connors?
That's a great call.
Oh, that
Belleville's
is a
Jimmy
really
Connors.
good one. Yeah.
Because certainly the best tennis player. I think you could fairly put Jimmy Connors in the 10 best male tennis players of all time.
For sure.
I don't think there's any doubt about it.
The Haas Golf family. I mean, if you're looking to expand it a little bit, but the Haas Golf family, which pertains to Bob Golby.
And Hale Irwin.
Yeah, there's another one.
A little bit further down the list, but if we're looking at families, I would say the Kachucks.
Right, and that's
winning
another
a
thing.
championship, of course.
If Matthew is a guy who leads his team to a championship, then I think that changes the dynamic there, too.
For me, the number one, though, is, and you mentioned it, is JJK.
Yeah.
I think she's got to be number one on my list with all the international awards, the Olympics, the things that she did, and how she, maybe I'm biased because just how she represents the community. You know, that's part of it, too, for me.
And by the way, so does Tatum. I really do think if Tatum wins a championship with the Celtics, I think, in my opinion, I would put him up on the St. Louis Athlete Mount Rushmore.
I agree.
Yes, I agree with you.
Have I mentioned Steve Atwater yet, by the way? Pro Football Hall of Famer, a stud from, I mean, he was a great college, high school,
Luther
college,
North,
and pro.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Luther
Did
North.
we say Beal yet?
No, because I think that, and obviously
But I'm saying
he's on the list.
just kind of the big list.
Yeah, but you can't put Beal. I don't think there's a circumstance, as great as he is, you can't put him ahead of Tatum.
No.
Got to win a championship.
Randy refuses to put him on here because of the generation he played in. But me, Randy, unlike you, I respect older generations of sports, and so I think we have to consider Easy Ed McCauley.
I actually had him on my list.
Easy Ed.
What about Michael Spinks?
See, that's a good one. Michael and Leon both.
Yeah, Leon would be a part of that as well.
Yeah. So it's very difficult. And by the way, Matthew also mentioned Tim Ream, right? Because
Brooke, I kept Tim Ream.
Put Tim Ream.
I put Tim Ream, Becky Sauerbrunn, and Jackie Joyner-Kersee.
I mean, Josh Sargent could be up there by the end of his career.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's pretty. It's a fun exercise, and someday we'll do a full thing where everybody can just give their 4.
Somebody said the Wallaces in racing and Pete Weber in bowling.
Oh, Pete
those
Weber.
are good names because those are all timers in their respective sport.
And Rusty. Rusty would be the Wallace, right? With all due respect to the other Wallaces, Rusty is the one that had the greatest career,
for sure.
We might need to steal it from the fast lane and do just 5 heads on Mount Rushmore. I think they're right. They were right to do that.
Yeah. But I just want to give some love to Tatum because he's really good. And boy, there was a time pre-pandemic where we had Kevin Harlan on the show, and Kevin at that point was saying that Jayson Tatum was a top 5 player in the NBA.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah, because of his play at both ends of the floor.
And they have been in these Eastern Conference Finals just time and again with him as a part of it. And it looks like, I would think, on paper, they're going to get by Indiana. They're going to go to the NBA Finals, and I'll put them as the favorite to win it. I would put them as the favorite to win it.
They should beat Dallas if Dallas is the representative. And they should beat Minnesota if Minnesota's the representative.
Minnesota scares me a little bit.
And they do.
Yeah, it's because of Ant-Man, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Pretty good. And see, that's the thing. If it's if it's Tatum against Ant-Man, what? Talk about the new generation of NBA stars.
Yes.
That's the passing of the torch right there.
I
We've
kinda wanna
got
see that.
I know who I'm taking.
some honorable mentions on this. Steepo.
Yep.
He'd be on David Lee, Mark Burley, Pat Maroon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of guys and gals that come to mind with this. It's kind of fun.
The legend Patrick McCaw. who won 3 NBA titles in his first 3 years in the NBA.
Yeah.
Jeremy Macklin.
J-Mac. Yeah, I had him on my list last night, and that was an egregious error not mentioning him this morning.
I was thinking about him just because of Mizzou ties, and then going to the NFL, and had a great career in the NFL too.
Yeah, he was great. What are you looking up, Matthew?
Mike Shannon.
Somebody texted in Sonny Liston, and I was like, whoa. Sonny Liston's from St. Louis?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
How about Mike Shannon?
Mike Shannon,
Yeah.
he's in that conversation, right? Because athletically, if you just talk about athletic ability, Dan, you ran into as many people as I did over the years that saw him play quarterback and said he would have won a Heisman Trophy at Missouri.
Everybody said he would have won the Heisman.
Yeah.
Now, I played a lot of golf with him. I don't think I'd put him as one of the best golfers I ever played with. He had pretty good hands, though.
Yeah, pretty fun.
He had a cannon for an arm and played for the Cardinals on championship teams. CBC guy. Got to put Mike Shannon there, too.
No doubt about it.
I think that maybe we just need a big, giant list like Santa Claus rather than Mount Rushmore for all this. This is
we
too
just
tough.
provided that. But with the exercise is cutting it down to 4 and having to leave somebody off.
Larry Hughes, Ryan Howard won an MVP.
Ryan Howard,
Yeah.
Terrific. Coming up, we're going to head down the stretch with Rocc and Roll here on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you're going to have an outdoor project done at your home this summer, call my friends at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. 800-300-4054. 800-300-4054. They are amazing with their ability to provide a quality, high-quality product for you, whether it's a fence or a deck, maybe a sunroom, a screen room, a pergola in the backyard. They've done it for 56 years, and especially in that business. You don't stay in business for 56 years unless you're doing things right. And they've been one of St. Louis' top names in home improvement with a commitment to putting quality and professionalism first in everything they do. And if you utilize Chesterfield Fence and Deck for your next outdoor project, well, you can get an unbelievable deal now for the rest of this month. You get 48 months interest-free financing from our friends at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. And if you want to get a deck, they've got great vinyl decks, and you need to check out the new color of their vinyl Vecca deck. It's pewter, gorgeous gray that has beautiful variations throughout for a more natural look. For any outdoor project, it's Chesterfield Fence and Deck, online at chesterfieldfence.com. The sign, you have the very best.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here for Decor Interiors and Jewelry. I know that Mother's Day has passed, but that doesn't mean that the gift giving has to stop. So you should go stop by at my friends and see them over at Decor Interiors and Jewelry. It's in Chesterfield at Olive and Woods Mill Road. Right when you walk in, you will just be blown away by all of the options. If you don't already know, Decor Interiors and Jewelry is 2 stores in one. I know that it's in the name, but I think a lot of people miss that sometimes because it's an amazing contemporary furniture store. And of course, they have an incredible jewelry selection as well. That's where I actually got my wedding ring at. And I stopped by recently because I had to pick up my wedding band, and I got sidetracked because Joe, the owner, and I, we spent probably like an hour just looking at all the different things they have in stock. It was so much fun. He has a story for every single diamond, every single gem that is in there. And what's really big right now is tennis bracelets and tennis necklaces, the best quality diamonds in town. Joe and his staff, they really do know diamonds and gems, so they always take the time to educate you on your purchase. Why not have them help you find the perfect gift for that special person in your life. Go stop by Decor Showroom today and tell them I sent you. Decor, always unique, always affordable.
Roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
June 3rd, I'm going to be over at Bogey Hills for the 39th annual John Cadillac Classic for the Mizzou Tiger Club of Greater St. Louis. Their golf tournament will take place again at Bogey, 9:30 for registration, and it's always a great day. And you can learn more by just going to MizzouTigerClubSTL.com, MizzouTigerClubSTL.com. I will be there. Eli Drinkwitz told me it's one of his favorite events of the year, so Coach is going to be there, and you can be there too. We still have some room open if you'd like to join us. Mizzou Tiger Club, John Cadillac Classic, Bogey Hills, June 3rd, and online at MizzouTigerClubSTL.com. Matthew, what do you got for us?
Well, there's been a little movement in some transfer news across the MLS. Unfortunately, the big name that everyone wanted to kind of be in the news has not been in the news. Marco Royce was reported in a video by Tom Bogert over
at Jerry's brother.
No, different guy.
Nephew.
Great uncle.
Third cousin.
Great uncle. Third removed. His brother's mailman. Marco Royce, the report from Tom Bogert in a video for The Athletic, he basically said that the Royces weren't too intrigued. Mainly, Mrs. Royce was not too intrigued by St. Louis as a city, which is not what you want to see.
Clearly doesn't know about the
things aren't exactly. I think honestly, it's just bad marketing because we weren't there. Let's get Marco on the air. I assume his English is impeccable, and let's roll it out there. Let's let him know what we have here. You know, Brooke can lay out all those incredible dinner recommendations, and we can show these. We can show the Royces really exactly. We can show the Royces what St. Louis is all about. But so that's a negative. But I have some positivity because there's another name I've mentioned in these little segments, and if you've been paying attention, you might notice again that's Cedric Teuchert, who is a striker in Germany for Hannover 96. His contract ends this summer, and he looks like he'd be a perfect fit for St. Louis. Well, ladies and gentlemen, he posted a little bit of a picture on his Instagram yesterday. I'm going to show Brooke so she can see the obvious St. Louis buildings in the background of his Instagram photo. And in the bottom corner of this photo on Instagram, where Cedric Teuchert is obviously in St. Louis, he tagged his agent. So maybe a German is on his way to St. Louis City SC, but maybe not the big name German everyone was wanted. But honestly, people have been on the Teuchert news to City for about 3 or 4 months now. It's been a much longer case for Royce, so it makes sense that there's a lot more there when considering how much later the Royce news has gotten started.
How does Cedric spell his last name?
Teuchert. And I'm 99% sure it is pronounced Teuchert.
I didn't want Rolls Royce anyway.
I didn't want Rolls Royce anyway. Somebody said, did anyone mention the zoo?
That's what I'm saying.
Hello.
Free zoo?
I don't know much about which
The
cities
Arch?
in Germany have the good zoos.
Yeah, what
But
would
I
their zoos be?
I also haven't checked.
It seems like Jerry Rice.
The cicadas, do they have that over there?
No.
Cicadas, I think, are only in the Americas because I know there's like a couple huge broods in Brazil, but I don't think they're on the other side of the world.
Palmatos. Did Royce know about Palmatos?
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Now he does.
Wally's. We've got a Wally's.
Yes.
I would always love to know, like, which restaurants, like when
Not the right
teams
ones.
are courting people here to town, which restaurants they take them to. I would love to know that.
So when the Rams were courting, and this was back in the day, Trent Green back in 1999, they were going to Tony's downtown, and Coach Vermeil's car got T-boned by a woman, flipped over on its roof, and DV's got like glass in his arms and stuff. The woman that hit him gets out of the car and says, "Are you okay?" And he's wiping himself off and says, "Yeah, I'm okay." And she says, You're going to make me go through another season of Tony Banks, are you?
Oh, my God.
And he's literally on his way to recruit Trent Green.
That's funny. I never heard that story.
Well, you're going to take me out before I can get you a better quarterback there, lady. Also.
So, and he shows up at the dinner with Green, and he's got, like, glass shards in his arm.
I want to throw it out. From the very beginning of the show, we talked about an incredible game of like 40 years ago with Warren Spahn, where he pitched 16 innings. The game that we were referring to, it was actually Juan Marichal who was on the other side.
Oh, okay,
and here's the pitch counts. Warren Spahn threw 201 pitches. Juan Marichal threw 227. And
you know
I got the box score in front of me. Warren Spahn's line from that game: 15 1/3 innings pitched, 9 hits allowed, 1 earned run on the walk-off home run, and 2 strikeouts.
Wow.
That's insane.
You know who the Milwaukee Braves suffered from a lack of depth similar to what the Cardinals are suffering from right now. Dan, you'll know the old phrase for Warren Spahn and Johnny Sane.
Yeah, you need some rain, obviously.
Yeah, Spahn and Sane and pray for rain.
And then Juan Marichal, 16 innings pitched, 8 hits, 4 walks, 10 strikeouts for Juan Marichal in that game. But it's insane to me that Spahn faced 56 batters and got 2 strikeouts.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Clearly thrown a little different.
How about Gibby and Gray and a rainy day?
Oh.
Well, you might get that.
Yeah.
Get Gibson, Gray. Well, Gray won't pitch today, but you're thinking in general.
Need, right?
Yeah.
Gibby and Gray and a rainy day.
There you go.
Thanks to Tom Stillman for joining us here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. That was fun. Tomorrow, Greg Amsinger will join us from MLB Network. Greg is he's down on baseball right now. So
why is he down?
Because he thinks that the quality of the sport is diminishing. We're going to ask him about it tomorrow, but there's a good reason for it, too, and he's going to explain it to us. So I'm looking forward to that. Who else do we have on Thursdays? What else we got going on, Matthew?
Jeremy Rutherford
JR.
and Kyle Gibson. Either these are going to be live tomorrow morning, or he'll be live, or we'll be playing a recorded interview with him on Friday.
Okay, and we might have a teammate or might not on Friday if he's with us? We don't know. Did you say? Or is it just Gibby?
Just Gibby right now.
Okay, got it. Okay. He's going to have a teammate. He's going to get us a teammate later on. That's going to be Lance Lynn.
Was he sick of doing it?
No, he's so there. Oh, wait, I guess this was revealed.
He said that he's like, all right, I can't deal with this anymore.
We made it public on Sunday night, so I'll say it on the radio. Big League Impact's going to have a bourbon night. And Gibby is not a bourbon guy.
Oh, Lance Lynn is involved in that.
Lance
Yes, he
Lynn is a bourbon guy.
That's who.
So
okay.
That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'll be great. So anyway, we thank you for our, first of all, thanks to our producer, audio, video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocc. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
Brooke, did you have fun today?
Yes. I'm thinking about restaurants, about where I would take someone. Maybe we need to do that one day. Is like, if somebody was coming to town, which restaurant are you taking them to?
Feeling good in the neighborhood?
Jesus.
little bit more than that.
Chili's? I want my baby back.
Chili's isn't existing anymore.
Can I give you one quick story?
No.
Come on, one minute. Okay.
It's 10 o'clock already.
McKernan won't mind. It's funny. So
to you it is.
Do you remember the guy when I got whacked at 550, Monty?
Yes.
Tim Montemayor. He's done national stuff. He's not very good, but so anyway, his job previous to going to the Big 550, getting hired by a guy named Al Brady Law. That's another story altogether. But anyway, Monty had worked at Applebee's before I got fired, and he replaced me at the Big 550. A buddy of mine calls into the Big 550 to his show, and he says, "Hey, you're on the air." And my buddy just starts going, "I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby," because he had worked at Chili's before, so baby back ribs.
Sure.
So that's what Monty heard, and he hung up on my buddy.
Oh.
So anyway, I don't know how I got there. Oh, because where do you take people when they come to St. Louis? All right, Danny,
Yes.
you were awesome today.
He said all
You were
right.
fantastic.
Yes.
So not Chili's, not Applebee's.
No.
Oh, I got a good local place. Let's go get a sandwich at Joyous.
I think that would be better than the other two options that you listed.
Matthew wants to go to break.
All right, we'll go to a break. We thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. For all of us until tomorrow morning at 7, have a wonderful hump day, St. Louis.